even know who Florence and the Machine is.
It's a good band.
I know
shitty
it's a
band.
band. Oh, okay, it's a band.
Hey.
Aw, shitty band. Hey, now.
Hey, you guys talked about some city game for like a half an hour. At least I can.
We're not
At least
allowed
it's
to talk
video
about that
games,
yet.
but we can't talk about that right now.
We can't
Actually,
talk
no.
about
When this comes
didn't
out,
say what
we
it
can talk
was.
About it. Right.
Yeah,
right.
you can
This is
talk
going out
about
on the
it.
6th, man. The
It
game.
could be any city builder coming out in March.
This
didn't say it was
all
even coming out.
This episode's coming out on the 6th. For the past 3 days, we've had episodes on our channels.
Yeah, so you can't
What?
talk about it.
In the future.
See, you're kind of aligning with the machine right now.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You're not so much a Florence.
We're not a Florence. We are a machine.
Welcome to the Roundtable Podcast for March 6, 2015. Hi, I'm Baertaffy. I'm joined by Rockleesmile, Northernlion, and MathasGames. Hello.
It's true. We're all here.
Hey guys,
Look
Hello.
happier, damn
good to
it.
be back.
Look like you want to be here. Look like the
So
people love
Pain
you.
right now.
I'm
Jeez.
so mad that it's earliest in my time zone, and I feel like I'm up there in the chipper levels right now.
Chipper
Everyone
levels.
else looks like a freaking tornado hit the town yesterday, and they're waking up to pick up the pieces.
Okay, man, I was up until a voice tornado just came through my throat. It just tore everything up. 5:30 because, all right, I'm going to complain about a free program because I'm a piece of shit, but
Yeah, do it.
LibreOffice can suck my whole balls, man. Like,
What is
that thing...
LibreOffice?
It's the free alternative to Microsoft Office. I've been using it for years, and it's awesome, and I love it, and I highly recommend it, but sometimes it can just take my genitals and, you know, do mouth things to them.
That was a fondle.
It saved my whole presentation for GDC in a file type that destroyed all the formatting I had, and now my life is ruined. Now it's all over. So that's my excuse for my sullen disposition this morning. What's your guys' excuse?
You're being sick too, right? So you haven't felt well at
No,
all.
I've been sick for fucking 4 months, man. It's just
Poor
ridiculous.
guy.
I stayed up late playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah, you killed
My
the great
excuse. I killed the
Janky.
great Janky.
The great
And I did an expedition and a couple other things.
I stayed up
How's
late
Monster
making
Hunter,
YouTube
man?
videos.
YouTube
Weird.
videos. That's the way
I
to go.
didn't really stay up that late at all. I
Oh,
mean,
don't you fucking lie to me.
you gotta put it in perspective that these motherfuckers are going to bed at like 5 a.m. I went to bed at like
No.
2.
No, I went
No,
to bed
that's
at like 2 my
old meta.
time, but I woke up at noon, so.
This
I
is like standard fare probably for a lot of people in our line of work, though. I mean, the 3 to 1 p.m. sleep cycle can't really be that uncommon, right?
I hope not, because that's
No.
what mine ends up being every time.
Makes me. I feel bad, man. Do you
It
just
sucks.
not interact with the real world? There are times
when
I'll be
would
like,
you?
Yeah.
If I have like an appointment for something, they'll be like, oh, just leisurely come over at like 10 a.m. I'm like, there's no leisurely coming over at 10 a.m.
My
That's
whole
like I gotta
month is
set an
gonna
alarm.
revolve around that.
Yeah.
Like I gotta set an alarm. I gotta go to bed early. Make sure I have like a good breakfast or something like that. Like that's like, I would rather wake up at like 4 because I would just not go to sleep.
Yeah.
I remember
It's
back
bad.
when GOG was talking to me the first time, they wanted to set up a meeting, and that's obviously shitty to try to set up a meeting between yourself and Iceland to try to find a time that's regular for that. But I ended up agreeing to them with basically what was the end of their workday and 8 o'clock in the morning for me. So that was like a week in advance. I had to retrain my body to try to get up around that hour, but then I don't know why they wanted to do a video call, but I think they just insisted on a video call just to see how miserable I was going to be at that point. That was a good time. They complimented my green screen, though. They said, wow, that looks professional. I said, thank you. It's a piece of
Substantially green.
cloth I tacked to my wall.
But it's professional.
The docket today, we're going to be talking about PAX a lot because we're all literally at PAX right now if you're watching
for you.
this. Except for me, because I suck. Even the early access people, it's the Thursday, so the Thursday of this week is drinking night for everyone.
Or flying
Traveling and
morning to afternoon to evening.
Yeah.
Drinking on the plane, wherever you're drinking somewhere. And so we're going to be talking a lot about PAX. We're going to be talking about things we're excited to see at PAX. We're going to be talking PAX stories. We're going to be reminiscing and holding hands, singing Kumbaya around the campfire. And our 2 games today, we're going to be talking about Catacomb Kids and Hand of Fate, both games that we... I don't know, I'll speak for myself, I suppose. I was kind of surprised by both experiences in different ways, so that'll be exciting. We'll have Nick's Weird Games, which is a segment that we're continually making better and better by not doing anything to it. And then, of course, we'll just, spout off about all kinds of inane babble. at some point through the next.
That's this entire podcast. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
I mean, I wanted to prepare him in advance this time around. I feel like maybe we should do a sort of get-to-know-you experience for those that may be new here. I know there's a lot of people hopping onto this on iTunes that have no idea who the hell we are. We actually got a review from somebody that said, hey, I have no idea who the fuck these guys are, but I like it. So that was good. Yeah, it was like a 5-star
That feels
review.
great.
Yeah,
Strangers are not supposed to like us. This is a bad podcast that's supposed to be carried by the fact that we have an existing audience.
Right. As we will live out the rest of our careers.
we are really
must be
breaking
doing
down the
something
fourth
wrong.
wall with that, aren't we?
Or something oh so right.
Yeah. So, I'll give you a start here. My name's Baertaffy. I run a YouTube and Twitch channel, and I have consumed another human being.
That does not surprise me.
All right.
Where do you guys want to go?
I'm done.
What?
Well, come on!
Public speaking.
Give us a nugget. Give us like that one thing
Give us
about
an
you
egg.
that literally
It's
no
like,
one
it's
else
like Paradox
knows.
Con, where this year they made us all stand up one by one to say who we are, where we're from, and what
Oh
we're
no,
doing here.
they didn't do that.
Yeah, I
oh
was
my
like,
god.
I feel like I'm in high school.
Yo, that was like the scariest moment for me because all I did every summer vacation was sit on my ass and play computer games. So I'd be like, oh, my name is Ryan, and I went on like a 6-week camping trip this summer. And they'd be like, whoa, cool. And I'd be like, nah, I didn't.
I don't
know that.
have an active imagination.
Man, when I was in 4th grade, they asked the entire class if they had ever been out of the country, and no one raised their hand. So I decided that was my time to be the unique kid. So I raised my hand up, and they go, oh, awesome, what country have you been to? And I was like, Greenland.
Oh, come on, man.
They were like,
Looking that
really,
one at a
Greenland? Oh, that's really interesting. I was like, yeah, my dad's in the Coast Guard, which he is, but
Well, that's
I don't
like
think there's like a
good
Coast Guard
instinct.
station in Greenland, right? I don't think they're guarding the giant icebergs
that.
of Greenland at any point. Yeah, he's actually in the Coast Guard, so there you go. There's that nugget of information
There you
people
go.
are looking for. That's what the difference maker is when they decide to hit the subscribe button on iTunes. Now
The
they know.
Coast Guard Greenland thing sounds plausible because I know
know.
nothing about the Coast Guard and nothing about Greenland. So I'd be like, oh, wow.
I was kind of banking on that. I was trying to think of like, I don't know how like my 9-year-old brain rattled around the possibility of what country does nobody know anything about to where I could just lie extensively about having been there, and then
Well,
Boom.
I'm just imagining the one person in the audience though that stands up and puts their finger out and is like, wait, I know this guy is lying.
I am
I
from
approve.
Nook, Greenland, and I've never seen this man before in my life.
we monitor every human soul that passes through that entry gate. He's never
Picked the
been
wrong
there.
damn country, Bear. Anyway, I'm Rockleesmile. How's it going? I'm a
Hi.
YouTube and Twitch streamer also. I do weird indie games and stuff. I'm into strange, obscure games that nobody's ever heard of or cares about mostly. But, you know, sometimes other ones are a little bit more, you know, popular too.
I'm bragging about you in my GDC presentation, actually.
Oh, thanks, man. Why? What is there to brag about? with
Well, I'm
it?
just telling everybody, like, if you want to get your game covered, there's a very high likelihood that this guy will do it.
That's good, good.
That's
Your
the
email will be flooded.
message. I have so many emails I can't reply to.
I know,
An
I'm
act of
evil.
professional terrorism,
It
basically.
is, it is. I hope your email is full of, check out my new iOS game.
It's already.
It's an
No,
infinite
no, I
runner.
provide them a mobile alternative, so at least I'm saving you from that whole slew of email
Oh, thank you.
destruction.
They'll all email me anyway. It's okay.
Yeah, they will.
It's-
Mhm.
That's fine. All right, I'm MathasGames. I do YouTubing, and I will, after PAX, be streaming once a week because I don't
On
really
Sundays.
stream much
That's
often.
fun.
Yep, on Sundays.
Sunday fun day.
Once a week because I figure I can do once a week because I can never live up to a schedule of more than that ever on Twitch anyway. So
Dude, it's not that fun to have a rigorous Twitch schedule, man.
I know I've tried multiple
it.
times, and after like 2 weeks, I'm like, "Fuck this! I'm just gonna go back to making YouTube videos."
It's all right, you know.
It's so easy to make YouTube videos. Just make videos.
Well, you can do it
and
on your own
upload 'em.
schedule. You don't have to live up to like.
Twitch
Yeah.
thing is not a problem. You know, we've been pretty much doing it for over 2 years now. Not
But it's
missing.
different for you because your wife also does it.
How is that different?
What does that
You have,
even
like,
mean?
what I'm saying-
No, it's
like-
different.
My fiance is not into the whole doing the Twitch thing, so I have to
Oh.
make sure I have time
He's saying
to
it's
do
a
that. And I
lifestyle
can't
for you.
spend time streaming with her. So there's that like kind of
Yeah.
caveat.
Oh yeah, me and Ryan stream together. That's the other thing. Like 3
Forget
times.
all about that.
Maybe you've heard of us. We're the co-optional podcast.
Another co-optional allowed.
Are we gonna do that
Fuck,
directly
yes.
now, man? I don't know how many more lines we want to cross here.
Northernlion actually directly replaced Total Biscuit.
Okay.
That's all.
God.
That just makes me the rotating guest if we're looking at the panel of 4 squares according to their
Give
layout.
you Wow Krendor.
I guess
That means
so.
I'm Dodger, I guess.
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm Jesse Cox?
Well, you've been in this
I'm okay with
square.
that.
Both of you guys have been in this square. We should
That's
play
true.
Hollywood squares on this show. That would be a much better content substitute.
Yeah, and then we replace you with Brad Garrett, television's Brad Garrett.
You go.
I'm going to
He
pretend I
played
know
the
who
tall
that is.
brother on Everybody
Plays the
Loves
same
Raymond.
character on every show he's on, you mean?
Oh, I know
He plays
him.
tall guy.
Tall,
Yeah.
tall, stupid guy.
Tall guy Garrett. I remember him.
Tall guy Garrett.
Well, speaking of Pax East then, let's talk about Pax East.
Yeah, that's a really good segue.
No,
it
was
happened
Pax East,
before.
Brad Garrett.
This year, we're all looking forward to going to the Brad Garrett Mega Booth to check out all the different Brad Garrett experiences. There's the Brad Garrett Game Simulator, where you try to make a game about Brad Garrett, and then there's the Brad Garrett Playing the Game Simulator.
He plays He plays Robert Barone, Robert Nathaniel Barone, on the television sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond. It ran on CBS from 1999 to 2007.
You're not fucking pulling
just
that out of
looked
your
it up.
ass, man. Don't try to. Oh no, that's.
Am I typing?
It's
I don't
already
think I'm
happened.
typing right now.
It's already happened.
I'm just gonna watch your glasses. I bet I'm gonna see the Wikipedia on there.
There's a Brad Garrett Oculus game that simulates you being 6 inches taller than you actually are. A voice-controlled Brad Garrett simulator that simulates your voice being an octave deeper than it actually is.
Oh my
Good.
god. I don't
And
think
if
I
you
can
do them
handle
both-
that. I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't actually be able to understand what I was saying if you dipped me an octave lower. I was just like I can't actually
sound like
understand
a
Brad Garrett
didgeridoo.
most times. Yeah, there you go.
It'd be a musical. There would be a whole musical segment we'd have to have now.
Yeah,
He'd
there
be
you
like
go.
that guy from The Waterboy that nobody understands what he's saying. You know, he's played that part. He also played that part in Joe Dirt.
We're talking
His
about a
name
lot
was
of
Brad
typecast
Garrett.
actors right now. Is that Brad Garrett? No, it's not. Well, we want to talk about the games that we are most excited to see at PAX, and I think I want to start off with a little game called Nuclear Throne. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one, but it's been at PAX
No, what's that about?
for 18 years, and
Was that one of the ones that Man vs. Games streamed while he was there?
maybe we'll see. We'll see because he'll do it again for sure. We were
Is
kind
Snap
of
might
talking
play
about it. I
some-
feel kind of bad about how much Man vs. Game has just become the face of Twitch. Like he's just there all the time, and I
don't think he
remember-
leaves the booth.
Yeah, like I remember running into him, and he just looked drained, man. Like he was
He is at the
Love is
like
gone.
the show floor opens at like 10 a.m. or 9. I think it's 10 anyway. It runs to like 6, and he is there. Except sometimes they'll have like a speedrunner come on for 2 hours.
So he can go have lunch.
Yeah,
Right.
so he'll go have lunch. Otherwise, he's working like 10 hours a day at PAX, streaming consistently with like all eyes on him. And then when he gets off, just like mobbed
By
by
people.
the aggregate crowd that has come out throughout the day. He's basically like PAX East, like Paul McCartney, which is to say he's Boston's Brad Garrett.
There you go.
How many callback jokes can we make in 5 minutes? Let's find out.
That's how you know we're already running out of material. Episode 3, we're
one-
like, I'm out of jokes.
One that I was really actually excited to see that is going to be a part of the Indie Mega Booth this year is Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
You freaking bring up Nuclear Throne.
I
and
didn't
toss
really
to the
want to talk about
wayside.
Nuclear Throne, man. That was a joke. That's the intro
Wow.
joke. That's the
Fuck you,
well,
Flambear.
everyone
I
knows
was gonna
it's
say,
Nuclear
what?
Throne's
Nuclear
there.
Throne's a joke now.
No, come on. I'm saying Nuclear Throne's been around. Everyone's seen Nuclear Throne. We can talk about Nuclear Throne. I love Nuclear Throne. Nuclear Throne's great.
Nuclear Throne is fun at PAX because Rami Ismail oftentimes runs like pseudo impromptu competitions. He'll just be like walking around his booth and he'll be like, if this person beats this boss, everybody watching gets a free code for the game. So it always has like a huge crowd of people watching.
Oh, I remember Bisnap was doing that last year.
He was,
Yep.
yeah.
And everybody got real mad at him. Like, there was some kind of video that went up.
Oh, Kate took
Yeah,
a video
yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to like say like there's Bisnap, say hello, and he was like in the middle of this like high pressure situation. And all the comments are like, Bisnap's a dick. He didn't even say hi.
But he was
so good.
fighting for the future of all those around him, man. He was busy. It's important. But no, Nuclear Throne, it's a kind of a top-down, I guess, shooter, and they're updating it consistently. This is kind of like the staple of how well early access can be done. I think a lot of people have noted on that. The fact that...
Out of curiosity, because I don't really follow Nuclear Throne that much, why is it still in early access?
That's a good question. I kind of feel like they could probably take the label off of it, but I don't know, maybe it's like a safety net of sorts. That's the only like really logical conclusion I can draw from it, because they're providing weekly updates that are most of the time pretty significant too. Like recently they did daily challenge updates, you know, like a lot of people are kind of taking that model from I don't want to say, you know, like it originated from Spelunky, but that's just like the big one.
I think it might have
in recent memory. Yeah, it might have too, yeah. So they did that. They're updating it with like all sorts of new weapons, all sorts of new characters all the time, and I don't know, man. Like I don't feel like they really need to take it out of early access. Is the thing that could just be, you know, their model for it is because they're continually changing the game so drastically. They want to keep that label there to, you know.
Are they changing it as far as gameplay is concerned? Like, what are they changing that's drastic?
I wouldn't say
they added the Nuclear Throne. That was
they only recently like finished the level content of the game.
Okay, that's good. At
like
least.
on the servers, there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done. Like some of the mutations don't really have art at all. They still have kind of like the cool programmer art that they had, which is actually kind of charming in its own way.
Okay.
You know, like between when it first came out and now, it's changed an awful lot. But because it's so kind of like incremental and granular, I think it's kind of difficult to notice unless you don't play it for like 6 months. But I think it's probably going to come out this year.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it didn't.
I think you said that
like
about Rebirth at one point.
Anyone know if it has a version number associated with it?
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be
like
there.
the 5 decimal places now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I guess I was just wondering if they had like a plan in place of like what would constitute what version number and like where that puts them in beta. So maybe that would be like a good way to make a roadmap toward when it would get released. But yeah, I don't know how that really addresses the early access question.
I don't know if they've even talked recently about an official release. I don't think people are even really looking for an official release. I think
most people are like, you know, you're either into Nuclear Throne or you're not at this point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was where the joke spurn is, because, you know, we've seen Nuclear Throne a lot at events like this, and it's a good place for them to show off, too. I mean, there's no reason for them not to be there, because, like you said, like they do those cool little impromptu events of allowing people to, you know, unlock codes for the game. They're very active with, you know, the Twitch and YouTube communities as well. They reached out to a lot of YouTubers with their build that generated a code for the game if you manage to loop, which is getting to the end of the game and then starting from the beginning again. And that was pretty popular too. So I mean, yeah, they do all kinds of awesome stuff like that. I like Vlambeer a lot. I think they're a good model for how to interact with YouTubers and Twitch people. And they also, of course, have that, you know, open policy thing. They created a form page on their website that allows you to put your name into a field, and then it generates like this official legal document constituting your, you know, ability to monetize and
that's awesome.
do as you see fit with their
Should be
games.
a standard.
Yeah,
they've done something else as well. They did. You might have been just about to introduce it, but they did distribute, which is basically like review code infrastructure, where you just type in your email address and how many codes you want, and the developer gets like a ping, and they can be like, okay, I approve this person. And what's nice about it is that it prevents like fraud, like people trying to use like an email address that looks like a professional game journalist's email address, because the code just goes to whatever email they put in. I guess you could still maybe try it, but don't.
Yeah, no, that's a real problem, actually. There's a lot of developers that have had a lot of people trying to scam them, and it sucks that that's a thing.
Yeah,
I've got a game I'm very excited about at PAX. So Nick and I have a little experience with this, but this game is called Renowned Explorers International Society, and Nick and I discovered it last year because we were going to I went to the bathroom at PAX Prime. And then, like, these two guys came over, and they had, like, an iPad strapped to their chest, or, like, a backpack.
It was on a
with an
backpack.
iPad. Yeah, and they're like, hey, check out our game. And,
interesting way of doing it when you don't have a booth.
Like, they
The
didn't
one
have
guy
a booth,
was
so
a
they were
prop.
just
It was a
walking around.
moving booth. It was real weird.
It was, and
that's incredible, actually.
It's from Abbey Games, and they made...
they made Roos.
Unknown. Yeah. Roos, Reyes, whatever. And apparently, I didn't know that sold 700,000 copies.
Really?
That's pretty
Whoa.
crazy.
For that game, I remember playing it and actually liking it. There's a lot of problems with it, I thought, but I thought the game overall was done well for a God
I thought
game.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot. Yeah, I made a series on it back in the day.
Renowned Explorers is like a tactics strategy game, almost like an XCOM, Skulls of the Shogun type thing, mixed with almost like an 80 Days style, like world expedition, overworld type thing, where you like travel around the world and you build your party of like archaeologists and explorers and stuff like that, and you explore kind of unknown areas and you find artifacts, and you can choose to be like a pacifist and, you know, be scientifically focused, or you can choose to be militarily focused and stuff like that. It looks interesting. I'm not gonna, you know, I've never played it. I'm not gonna say that it looks like you know, you got to pre-order it right now, but it looks like it's totally up my alley, and I like Reyes enough to be interested in this right off the bat.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out now, knowing who did it, because I enjoyed Reyes a lot. So I'd be happy to take a look.
I welcome the discussion of how to pronounce that word.
I think it's Reyes.
I have no idea.
Reyes.
I think I changed the pronunciation at the beginning of every single video. It does look pretty awesome, though. I've got a lot of faith in that developer. I had no idea it was that successful. That is insane. Yeah. 700,000 copies. That's got to be, I think that's their first game as well, so that's huge.
I think so, yeah.
Is it?
First retail release, I think.
Yeah, I think they made like some, you know, throwing some stuff up on Newgrounds or something like that. But
take a look.
I got one I can mention if you...
go for it,
man.
So we were talking about earlier making a little bit of a spectacle on the show floor and how that can definitely be a positive thing. I caught at PAX Prime, Acid Nerve was showing off Titan Souls, and they're going to be back for the next one. And what they had done essentially, and if you're not familiar with Titan Souls, basically like a 2-button, how would we describe this? Like an adventure/action game where you get a single arrow and you've got to fight a series of bosses, and that's the whole game, is just bosses. And each boss plays like a puzzle. So they had a special boss for this particular challenge where essentially you had to fight this Yeti, and you get 5 lives, and if you kill the Yeti, you win a t-shirt. So there was a line of people just waiting to do that challenge, and it was one of the most interesting stories in that I wasn't able to kill the Yeti, and somebody on Twitter found me and gave me a shirt anyway because it was nice.
I remember that. I remember, yeah.
I like that shirt.
I like Titan Souls a lot when I played it at PAX Prime, and I was hoping it'd be out by now, so hopefully it'll be soon, but I'm excited to see it again.
April now.
It's April, it said? Okay.
April 10th, I think. Sony did like their spring fever sale list, and they're like, well, here's the launch discounts on these games and the dates that they'll be out. And then, okay, there it is.
Okay, all right, well, there you go.
Same day on PC and PS4. I'm excited for that, too. But even though it's coming out so soon, normally I don't like to spend time waiting in line for like booths that have games that are coming out in like a week or something like that, but I would play Titan Souls again at PAX for sure.
Yeah, I hope they have that challenge. I didn't do the challenge at PAX Prime. I just played through the demo and beat all the bosses, and I was like, oh, that was fun. I didn't even know there was a challenge, so I'm excited.
They only did it on one day, I think, out of the 3, so, or 4.
If there's a challenge, I hope to be at it.
Yeah, I'm psyched for that game.
The Titans only have 1 hit point as well, so it's not necessarily like whittling them down, but just, I guess, finding the...
I'm trying to think if that was true.
No, some of them have a few different conditions that you have to meet before they'll die. Yeah. The Yeti, I think you had to shoot like 3 times in the butt or something before he'd go down.
And then, like, one, you had to have like all 4 switches pressed before you could do any damage to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's like a puzzle element to it as well. It was just really good. It was beautiful, too. It was a very beautiful looking game. So
great art
There's
style.
another, like, that's published by Devolver Digital.
Yeah.
Hideout Miami 2 is going to be there, but that actually comes out the Tuesday that is after PAX. That comes out next Tuesday.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
So if you're watching this on like the 6th or after, it comes out the Tuesday that is next. So March 11th or March 10th.
Oh, shit. I don't know if... am I going to do a series on that on my channel, or am I just going to do a Judge Mathis? I don't know.
That's what I was thinking, too.
I was wondering, too, if Mathis was going to do a series on this.
Yeah, I was really thinking about that.
The other... I mean, there's a couple of Devolver Digital things that I'd be interested in checking out there. Like, I would check out Not a Hero again to see how that's come along.
That was fun at PAX Prime.
It was, yeah. But Enter the Gungeon, they're showing it for the first time, I think, and that is basically their new... I mean, they're not making it; they're publishing it. It's made by Dodge Roll Games, but it's a bullet hell type procedurally generated dungeon crawler in like
Gungeon crawler.
And Gungeon Crawler, there you go. In the same vein as something like The Binding of Isaac, but mixed with Contra or something like that, or mixed with Smash TV. And the trailer that they've shown looks really cool. You know, you can pick up all sorts of different weapons, like an arc throwing, like lightning gun that homes in on enemies and stuff like that. And it seems like it's got a lot of like puzzle focus in it as well, or like trap focus as well, which is neat.
I'm going to start like a swear jar for this podcast, but instead of it being for when we cuss, it's going to be for when we say it's something like The Binding of Isaac.
Dude, people get up and ask for that all the time. I cover like a roguelike-ish game, and then I'm like, well, you know, it's kind of like The Binding of Isaac, and people go, don't compare it to The Binding of Isaac.
Come on, man.
Don't compare Sushi Castle to The Binding of Isaac.
Don't compare Catastrophe. What is that called? The fucking cat game.
I was gonna say, don't compare Wizard's Lizard to The Binding of Isaac. It's totally
right. It's totally different. In The Binding of Isaac, you play as Isaac. In a Wizard's
Our Darker
Lizard, you play as
Purpose
a
is
wizard.
totally different.
Our Darker Purpose is nothing like The Binding of Isaac.
Our Darker Purpose is nothing like Isaac. Our Darker Purpose has big rooms.
And you can dodge roll. You can dodge roll.
I still can't not think of a subreddit every time someone says Our Darker Purpose.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't stop thinking of that.
Well, if they made one, that has to be what they called it, right? R/Darker
you can't
Purpose.
do our Darker Purpose.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You just become a seal at that point.
But it's a branding problem, though, to call it Darker Purpose, right?
Yeah, well, that's a
Don't
Bethesda
fail.
game, right? And they would issue you a cease and desist straight away. Yeah, you can't be using Darker Purpose in your title. It's ridiculous.
Darker
Probably
Purpose.
just the word dark in general is trademarked to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I think we should just call all of our games, you know, very, like, we gotta dig deep into the
Go dank
American
now instead of
lexicon.
dark.
Yeah, there you go.
Dank.
Dank. Our Danker Purpose. Hey, we got something there. That's a Dracula fetus animation waiting to happen, man.
Oh, it really is.
I still have people tweet me
Bazinga.
a couple times a
Bazinga.
week, and they'll be like, I just thought of this. Dankest dungeon. And I'm
Oh no!
Never
They're
heard that one
Man,
before.
Right?
Mathis
Yeah.
knows what that's all about, am I right?
Dankest Dungeon.
It's like a month and a half after the game comes out in early access. They're like, check this out. Dankest dungeon. Like, oh!
So wait,
Blowing my mind.
12 separate tweets. She's like, dude. 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 Dank.
Dankest Dungeons.
Ist. Dungeon.
Gungeon.
Gungeon.
Shit.
Wayne
Oh,
June
no.
followed me on Twitter, man. I'm still bragging about that. I don't even know what to do about it. I haven't tweeted him or anything. I feel like he might have unfollowed me with the amount of times he's seen me say that he follows me on Twitter now, but
Who is this?
I got him. He's the narrator for Darkest Dungeon, Wayne.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was
got
like,
10 piece,
you're all
like,
blank-faced.
with-
How are you not amazed by this?
I was like, huh? Who?
Mathis, you got something you're stoked for, man?
No, not really.
No. What?
I didn't really look.
You gotta be
so
excited for something.
I'm sure I'll be excited when I get there. I'm trying to think, is there anything that's coming to PAX that I'm excited for? And the answer was not really.
Wow. Somebody's a little jaded. Somebody needs to
more
get out there and
speedrunners.
experience the world, man.
I'm excited for whatever they announce at PAX East, which will be nothing.
I'm
got
excited
another
for... Oh, you want to go? Yeah, go ahead.
No, you know what, Bear? I've gone recently. You go ahead.
Well, I appreciate you respecting turn order, buddy. Keep talking and nobody explodes. That was one I wanted to jump into right out the start. This is one that we all played kind of extensively, actually.
A lot of, yeah.
It was like a private demonstration over at
never got
PAX
a
East
turn.
2014. I never got a turn.
We know Ben Kane fairly well. He's one of the developers. They recently gave themselves a name, and now I've forgotten it. So I feel bad just being like Ben Kane. But
Steel
we've known him-
Crate.
Steel Crate, that's it. Yeah, we've known him for a while. So at PAX East, he was like, "Hey, we're kind of carding this like our game around. Do you want to play it?" And we just kind of plunked down and played it for like 3 hours. Or 2 hours, and now I feel great about it because everybody's like, "Hey, have you heard of this game? Keep talking, and nobody explodes." Like it's really hard to play. Like at PAX Prime, there was like a 2 hour lineup for it or something like that, and I'm like, we got the VIP access to that.
That exclusive.
We got our own
baby.
floor. Like, there
Yeah.
was no one around. There was just
When
us.
was that? That was 2 PAX Easts ago?
No, that was last year.
That was last PAX East? Okay.
Yeah, he took us upstairs. It was like in a hallway next to a conference room that nobody was using, and we just all gathered there and sat down on the floor and just put on. I guess it was like his dev copy of an Oculus Rift or something like that. And yeah, so it's an Oculus Rift game. So we'll explain how it goes now, I suppose. So you put on the Oculus, and then you can play with as many other people as you want, but it's usually easier if you have like 4 or 5 other people outside of the Oculus wearer. The person with the Oculus on has a view of this bomb that is on the table, and you have something like 5 or 10 minutes to decode a whole bunch of different cryptic puzzles in order to disarm the bomb. And to solve those puzzles, you can't actually, like do them on your own. You have to rely on the people that are helping you, and they have the little cheat sheets telling you what the symbols mean. So, for example, there's something that's like so there'll be a panel of 4 symbols on the first section, and you have to figure out like what direction you have to rotate each symbol in order to disarm that particular section. So it'll be something like a frog has to be turned south by southwest, and then a tornado has to be flipped upside down or something like that. So it gets really intense too, because when you're getting down to that final section, you have a minute or so left to go, and you're trying to like frantically figure out like what fucking direction do I turn the frog? Hurry! And then everybody's freaking out.
There was like 9 sheets of paper you had to go through, and all of them were
yeah.
text. So the challenge was to effectively communicate what you're seeing to the person, and then for them to understand it, and then find the thing in the massive text that they needed. So it gets very tense as you're watching.
I haven't actually tried that game yet. So
You haven't tried it yet?
no, I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna
You
have
missed
to
out,
now.
man.
I know.
Yeah, now you got to
on the
wait in
Peter
line
side.
with the rest of the
Schlubs.
unwashed masses. we have become part of the unwashed masses. They are now they're too good for us. They're like, we can make appointments with IGN. We don't need you shitheads anymore.
Oh.
It's very
We've
sad.
used you for what you're worth.
All you had to do
it
was just not take a shower, and then you were part of the unwashed masses. I've been doing that for years.
So like 80% of any convention?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, shots fired at the convention, but we're a
There's-
part of it, right? So, I mean, that's
Just
that's
fragrances.
okay.
I don't think anyone could lie.
Fragrances.
Every once in a while, you will walk by someone and just be like, "Oh, what was
There's
that?"
like a cloud that'll travel sometimes. You're like, just let's walk in the other direction now.
Ass Stank by Calvin Klein. Available
I
at
don't know
Macy's.
if it's like a lack of hygiene or if it's some kind of collective, like an
Right.
unconscious human biological response to being surrounded by so many other people. Everyone's brain just like
Pheromones.
goes collective sweat. Just sweat it up right now.
I'm sweating right now, man. Just thinking
Communicate
about
with
it,
your
I'm getting
sweat
pretty
stank.
sweaty. Sweat
You gotta-
stank!
All right, I got another one.
All right.
Is it going to
So-
be Feed My Alien?
It's not Feed My Alien, Mathas. If you wanted to talk about Feed My Alien, you should have talked about it when you had the opportunity.
It's coming out for iOS and Android, though.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
So this is, I just realized this is Vita. I'm not sure if it's Vita only, but the one that they're going to be showing at the convention is on Vita. But this is severed from Drinkbox Studios, who you may remember for Guacamelee, or also Tales from Space, Mutant Blobs Attack, and I think there might have been one other Tales from Space game. And it is an RPG in the first person that looks a lot like the way like Legend of Grimrock or Legend of Grimrock 2 look, but with the classic kind of trademark Drinkbox aesthetic of like vibrant colors and I don't know, Nick, what do you call this? Like vector art or something like that?
No.
That Drinkbox, okay.
No, it's Vectory. You're right.
I don't really know very much about it, except that it does look like kind of the first-person CRPG style, like dungeon crawler. But it looks cool, and Drinkbox is one of the very few developers that I kind of, get excited for just based on their past track record alone. I think Guacamelee was one of the best games in the past few years for sure. So I'm excited to see what comes out of this, even though it's not a genre that I'm necessarily super interested in on the outset.
I love their color palette, man. It's so pretty.
They're one of the
Guacamelee
very
was awesome.
few developers when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's a Drinkbox. Like,
Yeah.
You just know right off the bat.
Kind of like
Like, there's 3 I can think
Why?
of. There's, like, the Behemoth, there's
Behemoth, that's
Clay,
what's
and then there's Drinkbox. Those are, like, the 3 big ones that can come to mind, which I feel like that's a pretty noteworthy accomplishment to get to a point where, like,
be recognized on set, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, are there
Cat-
any others?
Edmund
kinda-
McMillan, too.
Yeah,
Oh,
a
Edmund
little bit.
Millen.
Mhm.
I think Cappy's a little bit like that. Like Super Time Force looks a lot like Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Cactus Squid. I don't know if you guys know him, but very distinctive art style there, too.
Cactus Squid. That's a...
Half of the team for Hotline Miami.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, I was just thinking if we could just, like, try to develop a sitcom every episode now, I think Cactus Squid, that can go somewhere. Or it could be like a cactus squid, or it could be like a cactus and a squid living together. Like they're
Cactus
two opposites
octopus.
trying to live in the
And-
same apartment.
It's a cactus, it's an octopus, and it's also a dad.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, there you go. And his son is a squid, and he has to find out where the infidelity lies. Because there's no way that actually worked out naturally.
I think it's pretty clear where the infidelity lies.
I've got another one I'm pretty damn excited for. This is actually
right.
shown to me recently, and it looks pretty damn incredible. I'm pretty sure they're showing it at PAX. Death's Gambit. This is the
beautiful
action RPG. You explore in a medieval alien planet, which I like that premise alone. A medieval alien planet, like you never see that. That's so foreign as a theme of going to an alien body and experiencing, like ancient times as far as the Earth is concerned. I like that a lot. But it's kind of like it's like a 2D Dark Souls, I suppose, is what they wanted to call it. So
what's it called again?
It's called Death's Gambit.
What's it called again, though?
It's called Death's Gambit. Death's Gambit. You fight bears.
Oh, that's why you like it.
Oh, I like it a lot more now. Oh,
Ultimately, you fight like a giant colossus as well, and there's like panic, and you climb up him. And
that monster just looks like straight up like the Capra Demon.
They had a scene in the trailer that looked like they copied like shot for shot from Dark Souls 2, where the dude's like kneeling in an orange crater, and there's like arrows everywhere, and he looks like he's about to die, and then a dragon swoops in. It's pretty.
This looks great. But
yeah, it
holy
really
fucking Dark Souls influence.
I don't care. It looks amazing.
I mean, it's pretty obviously like 2D Dark Souls, but I'm okay with that. Like that's a unique enough take on the approach that I'm not gonna rip into them for it until the game is released, and then it's gonna be a popular thing to rip into them for it. And I just want to jump on the gravy train. That's all I really.
That
care
YouTube dank cash.
Dude, check it out. Dankest dungeon. Dankest dungeon. No one's ever thought of that one before.
Dankest Gambit.
Double up on it.
Everyone shut the fuck up.
Oh!
Don't stop me now. I'm on a roll.
Come on, Dad.
That looks pretty good.
No, I like. Well, at least the art style looks neat. Can't really
Anyone
say
know
otherwise.
anything about Mayan death robots?
Mayan death robots. I'm
It's on
pretty
the
sure
list
that's
here.
the new expansion pack to Europa Universalis 4.
Revelations 2012.
I might be interested then. Yeah, just it's a pretty cool title. I kind of want to try that.
Yeah, that's almost as appealing as drunken robot pornography, just as far as the title is concerned. Like that, sometimes just the title.
I can't
makes
even
you
find the
wanna play
list
it,
of
man.
games on the PAX website right now.
Oh,
I'm
come
still
on.
struggling.
Oh, you're
Just go to like
terrible.
indiemegabooth.com and that'll help you. At least from the indie side, there's a lot of stuff
That's
there.
what I'm looking for.
There's another one, and this is another game. Like the recurring theme for me is like I don't know very much about this, but I like their last game.
Yeah.
And this is from the mini booth, and this is Sparse Vector. We all are familiar with him for Super Amazing Wagon Adventure. Came out a couple of years ago. Go Plague Monkey Go is actually showing. I know Josh.
Oh, is that going to show?
Josh played this at PAX Prime 2013, I think.
Oh, really?
But it wasn't even like at PAX at 6, which is like the Seattle Indie Expo, which was like a block away from PAX, and they had free pizza. And he was like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool." So, I know you play.
You're talking about the
like,
pizza, right?
Well, they were out of pizza within about 2 seconds, I think. But you play as like a diseased like lab experimentation specimen that is also a monkey, and you try to escape from your lab and then cause like as much chaos as you possibly can in the environment. Again, I know pretty much nothing about it, but I really liked Super Amazing Wagon Adventure, and in particular, like the tone and the humor in the game. And you know, based on the premise of this one, I think it at least has a pretty good opportunity to keep that same kind of levity alive. So I'll be interested to check that out as well.
Sounds like cat lateral damage.
Yeah, a little bit. I love Sparse Vector, and I love Super Amazing Wagon Adventure. These screenshots, I don't know, man. This looks a lot like an albino black sheep game to me, which I don't know. Maybe kind of the appeal to it.
Have you seen it in action yet?
No,
he streamed
so I
it like
shouldn't-
6 months or so ago while he
Oh,
was
did
like doing some bug testing and stuff, and it looked really fun.
Yeah, okay. I should judge it on appearance, right?
The art looks amateurish, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's maybe when you play it, that'll be part of the charm, or maybe
That's
it'll be
what
like,
I'm
this game
expecting,
sucks.
Yeah, it's possible the game could just blow.
Yeah, Sparse Vector, if you're listening to this, it could just be fucking terrible.
For the first
love it,
time
though.
at PAX,
care.
Neo Scavenger is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You played a little bit of that, didn't you, Ryan?
That's the game you choose out of all the games in there. You're like the one that's already out and has been like 4 months.
Hey, I'm proud of this guy. He's been working on this game for like 5 fucking years. He's a one-man team, and he's it just released, and he's going to be at PAX. That's awesome. I'm happy.
Neo Scavenger's pretty cool. It's not for me. Too complicated.
What's it about? How's it go?
It's like a hex-based, turn-based survival game, of course, because that's all I play. Where
you very rarely chomp down trees with your own hands, but you do fight some zombies occasionally.
Yeah, it's you fight monsters that are overly radiated, and zombies and
overly radiated, not radiated enough, or overly
melon
radiated.
heads. There's a lot of role playing involved. It's the towns where you make decisions. It's fun.
Melon heads.
Have you never come across the melon head monster
What the
yet?
hell does that mean?
Oh my god. Melon heads are like these little creatures with big fucking heads. If you come across one, there's a chance there's like 10 of them nearby. And they don't do a lot of damage, but they can pin you and just pummel you to death.
And just bash you to death with their melon head.
Yeah, they're bad.
I
They
wanna
do
do
these
that.
really loud screams that can like cause you a ton of damage.
How do they scream? Their head's a
melons.
melon.
I don't know, man. Just
Ain't
do
got
it.
no
My
mouth.
head's a melon and I must scream.
There you go.
I
Good
was
one.
gonna try to do that.
Good one.
Oh man. Another one coming into the PAX lineup is Vagante, which I believe is in early access. Oh yeah, you talk about it then. You got it.
It is, yeah.
I haven't played it, but when I did Catacomb Kids, everybody was just like, just play Vagante. I was like, what?
Yeah, no, they're different enough that I think they both have their own angle to things.
The Catacomb Kids isn't just a poor man's Vagante, I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't know what Vagante is, but
Well, it is similar to Catacomb Kids. It's like a procedurally generated action platformer RPG, and it's kind of action-driven. You got to make sure you don't die in one hit. So it's sort of a little bit like a more fantasy spelunky kind of an idea, but a little bit more hardcore even. They both have really cool things. Well, we're going to talk about Catacomb Kids at length, I'm sure, later.
yeah.
But yeah, definitely check out Vagante. Is there still a free build? Does anyone know, or is it just like kind of...
I don't know.
It's $15 right now in early access. I just checked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when I covered it on Indie Impressions, it was there was just a free build kicking around. So I don't know if that's still available, but
They've done a Kickstarter since then, and the game has come out on early access.
Okay. Oh, Forced 2 has come out. Did you guys play Forced 1?
I did play Forced 1. It was I liked it actually. I thought
was fun.
It was a pretty good time. Yeah, it's
It's like Diablo, right?
yeah,
Kinda, yeah.
They tried to make it into a Diablo-like experience. I think they might have taken a bit of a Peter Molyneux approach to it in the form of it being like really. They're trying to make a lot more out of what it actually is. It's just kind of like like a decent Diablo-esque experience, but there's like they tried to build like this whole sense of community out of not too much to build the community from, and
it was
make this big event around it and all this stuff.
The way you handle your abilities was more MOBA-y than Diablo. But I had fun with it. I had a good time with it. I don't think I beat it. No, did I beat it? I can't remember.
more MOBA-y than Diablo. What does that mean?
Like the way your abilities are, you only have like I think 3 or 4, and you just use those as they come off cooldown. While Diablo has you have 4 active ones, but you can swap them out. I don't think you can do that.
Oh, they're just they just show up and unlock, and then that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it.
There's also a lot more people yelling at you for being new at the game. That's the MOBA aspect.
Game is hard there. It's hard.
I'm surprised, honestly, they're making a Forced 2.
Me too, actually.
That was interesting to me. I was thinking maybe just an expansion in the form of this content would probably be, I don't know, just in my opinion, that would be a better approach to it. But obviously, they're the game developer, so they probably know better than I do. Or
Be
maybe
curious.
I don't know.
I'm very curious how that's going to end up panning out, because if they're going to make it straight up a sequel and charge you full price, whatever that ends up being, I'm curious if there's going to be enough different about it to warrant a separate purchase as opposed to a cheaper expansion to the first one.
Right. I don't know if there's anything else that I know too much about.
I got one more, and it is the worst reason to be excited for a game, or not excited, but at least intrigued. But Viking Squad from Slick Entertainment, and the reason that I am interested in this, it is a co-op lane-based brawler that looks quite a lot like Castle Crashers for PC, Mac, and PS4, but they're Vancouver local, and I don't know what it is in the water up here, but we've had Necro Dancer, and we've had Darkest Dungeon, and we've had all the clay stuff. And
have you even played Necrodancer yet?
I played Necro Dancer like 2.5 years ago.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Of course, I played Necro Dancer. I've seen about 130 hours.
That's
of
what I'm saying. I know
in
you've
the room
seen
next
it.
to me.
Yo, Necro Danker.
Shit.
I'm glad you caught that one, actually.
I'm contractually obliged to say that.
You are.
Dank Starve.
Dank Starve.
Dank
Dank of the Ninja.
Starved
Yeah.
of Dank.
All
There
right,
you go.
Dank of the Ninja, I kind of really like.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
it looks like a brawler, and that I mean it is a brawler, and to some extent that gives it like a negative opinion modifier for me because even the brawlers that I like the most, I kind of tend to get bored of within like
They're
an hour and a
repetitive.
half or
They're
2
repetitive
hours.
as hell.
But it's got a procedural generation apparently,
I'm
and I'm tempted to give it a little bit of a tentative pass just because it's local.
Are
and
there zombies and survival aspects?
sorry, Mathas.
Nah, well,
Does it have?
There are
a-
Vikings.
that's not enough. I'm
Does it have
bored
all-
already.
Need to know.
It
What
looks
is it?
good. Like art wise, it looks a little bit like a Behemoth game, but it looks good.
Yeah, it does, but it looks nice to look at. So.
Speaking of Maths' genre, I wanted to think about this for a second here. You would think that, like, over the span of those survival games, that the people would have evolved to have, like, blade hands so that they could chop down the trees more effectively, because you're just trying to, like...
There was
use
no
a
need
blunt
when the very
force.
first game that made survival popular, you could just punch the trees anyway.
Yeah.
I like Bear's logic that like in the forest, like your dude gets in a plane crash and then the dude like takes his child from him and he wakes up and he's just like, what are these? I appear to have evolved to my surroundings.
This is
Imagine the
convenient.
zombies, though. When the zombies get the blade hands, they're already dangerous enough.
Oh, those
Oh,
zombies
yeah.
don't evolve with you. That's just unfair.
That's just
They-
dumb.
Zombies
What-
can't procreate in the normal way.
They
Right.
bite somebody with blade hands, and then the blade hand person turns into a zombie.
That's true.
Zombies are blade-handed asexual creatures. They don't really rely on our natural processes of evolution to be able to chop down the trees and build a wooden fort.
Whatever you say, man. In Dying Light, some of the zombies are using melee weapons and thrown weapons, so
That's some bullshit.
whatever. you
They're
don't know
not
what you're gonna
zombies,
get.
they're walkers. I don't know what they're actually called in that.
I think they actually call them zombies. Fighters. Fighters is another.
Fighters. We gotta have, a proper name for each type.
Did you guys eventually beat Dying Light, by the way, or no?
No.
No, I never did.
Ending was disappointing.
Yeah, that's what I've
Yeah.
heard. Something about a helicopter and being stabbed.
And that the final boss fight was
Don't
a QTE.
spoil the ending of...
And somebody expected you to be stabbed in Dying Light. Come on, that wasn't a...
Sorry, you don't die because that would be dumb because then there would be no sequel bait. And the last boss fight was a QTE.
Oh.
So
You really are trying to spoil the end of it.
just go watch a zombie movie. You'll see the ending.
Dying.
Dankest light.
Yeah.
Dying dank.
Light. Dying dank.
Don't kill your dank. It's important to keep that shit alive. Guys, tell me about your favorite, your most cherished PAX memory.
Ryan knows what mine is.
Meeting Ryan for the
I have
first
no
time.
idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. When I went to give him a hug and he didn't really want to hug me back, but he did it anyway.
I
out of
forced him
obligation.
to hug me. I remember that night, the first night that I flew in from Pax East 2014. We were all, you guys were all there. I think it was like me and Rob maybe that were trying to meet. No, Rob was with you guys. It was me and somebody else. We were walking up to meet up with the rest of you guys out drinking already.
We saw you
And-
across
That
the
was
street,
me,
right?
you,
Right.
dude. That was me.
Oh.
Oh,
And
me and
like,
you. Yeah,
they're
that's
over
right.
there.
Yeah, sorry, I
remember
forgot.
that. Were you with me? Yeah, you were with me when the
Yeah.
guy who was so drunk was hanging on the fence, and we came back and he was gone.
Oh God, I was so worried about him.
I'm like, he's
I don't
gone,
know where
he's
he
dead.
went. Yeah, he
He
was.
was smiling and talking to himself. It was great.
It was either a cab or he was abducted by a mafia member. Otherwise, like
Yeah.
he was in no shape to like make maneuvers on his own. But I remember, like we all met up. You guys saw us across the street. Josh came in, and I think I got about like a 25-minute hug from Josh. He just wrapped himself
There's a bear
around me
pile.
and then just wouldn't let go. And then I go around the circle like we're all introducing ourselves, and then I come to Ryan and I'm like, "Come on, get in here." And he wasn't having it, but
Yeah.
you felt that embrace. You felt that embrace, buddy. And
Everyone
I don't
got a
remember
bear
that,
hug. It was great.
You got
I don't know what you're talking about.
It pains me as the ultimate asshole. Your favorite PAX memory is hugging me,
no.
and I'm just like,
Two
for me, it
of
was
us.
Friday.
For me, it was a Friday.
No,
Two out of the three of us, our favorite memory is hugging you, Ryan. How does that
I'm
make
very
I don't think I've
huggable.
ever hugged Ryan because I don't hug people.
That's yeah.
I
You're
handshake
lost.
people.
Prefer it that way, honestly.
Me too.
I'm a hug guy.
I remember Josh
You gotta
hugged
get
me.
in
Rob
there.
hugged me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Nick, did you hug me or did
we
handshake?
handshaked for
I
some
think we
reason.
handshook.
Professional distance.
Handshaked.
Handshook.
Handshook.
What's your favorite memory, Ryan?
My favorite memory of PAX.
Yeah, what was it?
I've seen some sweet games at PAX, but I think my favorite memory was the very first PAX I ever went to. Was PAX Prime 2012, and I was with Kate and Michael A.L. Fox, and Mike was like, my only thing I want to do this whole weekend is see Tim Schafer. And then, like, the whole weekend, it was like... He would be like Fox would be like looking at us and talking, and as we were walking, and there'd be like Tim Schafer just like sitting in a booth, but nobody would tell him, and he would just like keep walking, and then we'd be like, "Yo, Tim Schafer was right back there." He's like, "Really?" And he'd go back and he'd be gone.
Oh.
And then on the last, so this happened like 3 or 4 times over the course of the whole weekend. Like even we were playing the cave, and like he's like, "I wonder if I'll see Tim Schafer," and then he got to sit down and play the cave, and Tim Schafer came by. And was like talking to the person running the booth, and Fox had his headphones on and was just playing the game. He was like a foot away. And on the last day, he got really drunk on the Saturday. This is back when PAX Prime was only 3 days, and he was like, "I gotta just like take a sit." So he was sitting against the back wall of the convention center, and there was like a curtain for a booth, and literally right on the other side of the curtain is like Tim Schafer getting interviewed by 4Player Productions for like the Double Fine documentary, and he's just you like walk by, you see Fox like with his head in his hands, and Tim Schafer's just giving like an interview right beside him. It was so good. Nobody ever told him, so we're like ultimate assholes. He could have met his hero.
Is this going to be how he figures that out?
No, he's known.
Oh, okay.
Dude, that is a new sitcom called Chasing Schafer.
That's really good.
I like that.
Get on it, Dracula fetus. Get on
Chasing
it right
Schafer.
Chasing Schafer.
And another happy memory, I got to meet Tommy Refinez. That was kind of big for me.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Got
Tommy
a
Refinez.
picture
Who's
with
that?
him
Of
trying to
Team Meat.
uppercut me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played like 1,000 hours of his game, so it was kind of nice to be able to meet him and
That's
shake his
awesome.
hand and stuff.
Did he know who you were out of curiosity?
He was very frazzled that day because he was showing off Mugenics, and there were like 100 people coming at him every second, so I don't think he was quite there.
Did Mugenics get canceled?
It's on
hiatus right now.
Hiatus, that's what it was, yeah.
The joke's on you, Nick. That was actually me wearing a Team Meat shirt.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, I got you.
Gotcha.
Oh, my God, I'm crushed now.
That was a
I
long
met
con,
Tim
man.
Schafer at PAX East last year. Me and Jake ran into him on the street, and we had a
Not a big
conversation.
deal.
That was just me wearing a Psychonauts shirt
Fuck!
and a wig.
Damn it! Shit!
I'm trying to think of who I met that was actually Ryan wearing a disguise. I think it might have been
versus
Nick,
game.
actually.
I think
Oh.
my favorite PAX memory, this is going to get, like, I don't want to say sappy, but, like, my best
Say
PAX
sexy.
memory is, like, my first time, no, my second time going to PAX. And I remember you guys were having a live stream, I think, the week before, and you guys were just answering questions. And I asked you, would you want to grab lunch? And you guys said yes, and that's how I met you guys for the first time at PAX East back when I was small. And that was the reason it's so important to me, because that was what initially opened the door for me to actually start doing better on YouTube. So that was
the first time we talked?
that was the first time we talked. Yeah, that was the first time we met
Oh,
at lunch.
And
I was
now look at us on
Dude,
a
you know what's-
podcast.
living the dream.
You guys know, well, now Mathas at least knows, like when it comes to meeting strangers or new people, I'm just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So I remember
You
being
sound
at,
like
that
Rocky
PAX,
Balboa
and
most of the time, too.
I think Nick was like, yo, this guy Mathas like wants to meet us, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, he really did that.
I was like, really? Like,
Then we
I-
hung out for 8 hours.
Gave
and
me a
go,
don't give me shit look, and then I was like, yeah, but like, come on.
I pulled the same shit I always pull, which is like, this is like my pseudo vacation. Like I paid
but
money.
you were the one on the stream that said, "Yeah, let's meet. Let's do lunch."
Oh, yeah, I was just paying lip service at that point.
Fuck you, buddy. now my dreams are crushed.
I was like, this is never gonna come back to bite me in the ass. But here it worked out.
Never gonna come back and bite me in the ass. And look, it did. Here
I'll
I
go
am.
back to my emails. It'll be like an email from like Markiplier. He had like 50 subscribers. Be like, want to grab lunch sometime? Like, God. Yeah.
Just throw your computer out the window. Everything I missed.
I remember
That was another fun story. Was the Markiplier incident when we were standing in the
That
the
was
line for the
real.
Evolve thing. So we were like in this little penned press area waiting to play Evolve together.
Yeah, I
and
remember that.
Markiplier was like right on the other side, like a couple feet away, and we had to stand there for like a half an hour. And we all knew he was there, but like I just didn't. It was too awkward to just be like, "Hey, hi, I don't really know you, but I know you're a YouTuber. Hi, I'm also a YouTuber." So I just kind of like stood there awkwardly, and then eventually people started realizing Markiplier was there.
And then it gets popped.
Multiple times I had to take their picture with Markiplier. And then the best part was at the end when somebody noticed, "Oh, not only is that Markiplier, that's Northernlion. Can you take a picture of both Markiplier and Northernlion?" I was like, "Yeah, I can."
Yo, check this out. I just searched my Gmail for Markiplier.
Oh no.
Oh no.
This is from May 10th, 2012.
Okay.
Markiplier is sending you a message. Northernlion, I just wanted to take... I'm not making this up.
No fucking way.
I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for helping me to get where I am today in the Let's Play world. I read the advice you posted in the R Let's Play subreddit on how to start up a new Let's Play channel, and I tried my best to emulate your formula. I have to say that it has worked better than I ever could have imagined.
No fucking way!
Oh, wow.
Just a little over a month since I started, I'm approaching 1,500 subscribers.
Oh my god.
You missed out!
Oh, this is real?
It's thanks you to me following your guidelines.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So thank you for showing the way for an aspiring YouTuber like me.
I gotta search my Gmail for Markiplier. Hold on.
Yeah, me too. Gmail Markiplier.
I don't have any.
I don't know why, but I haven't actually subbed to your channel up until now, so subbed. Thanks again, Mark.
Wow.
He sent you was that a YouTube message?
That is a YouTube message from May 10th, 2012.
Wow.
And now he's like 6.5 million.
And you just read it. Just now.
See what my antisocial tendencies get me?
You were just joking about that. That fucking actually happened.
Kind of tweet him right now. Be like, yo, just got your message.
Literally almost 3 years ago. That's incredible.
Why did he make that joke and then it was actually true? Why does that happen?
I don't know.
When we talked about sheets on the
Check for PewDiePie
LSS.
message.
We hung out with him.
When I checked, when we talked about Sheets, the convenience store, on the 23rd of February stream, I got like a message the next day from an @sheets.com email address, which is like, "Thanks for defending Sheets. If you're ever in the Northeast, we'll give you a gift certificate."
Were you defending them? I just hadn't heard of them. Why were you defending them, really?
You were talking shit, or Rob was talking shit, probably.
Rob
no
probably
shit to
talks shit
talk.
about Sheets.
Oh, here's an email. This is from PewDiePie at gmail.com. He says, "Hey, I owe all my success to you. Congrats.
This is just
You're
as
my-
natural
No,
as a
dude,
Markiplier.
there is like such a dichotomy between this. Like, I remember seeing a little highlight segment on Bradley Cooper for some reason. There was a clip of him on like the Actors Guild or whatever it was. There was a television program where they brought on very prominent actors to talk about how they got into the industry where they are today. And they had Sean Penn on one of the episodes. And then Bradley Cooper, like a young Bradley Cooper, was in the audience. And he asked Sean Penn, like, he said basically like what Markiplier just said to Northernlion, but like to this degree. He said, like, I really look up to you, like, you're a big inspiration to me, and I follow your model of success, and I just wanted to like ask you, you know, like some question about how he could, you know, get a little more noticeable. That's like the same thing. Like, you're Sean Penn to Markiplier's Bradley Cooper. He's risen in the ranks, man.
Younger, handsomer."
It's crazy, man.
You basically look like Sean Penn, if that's a suitable comparison. So I remember.
I'm actually blown away by that. That's insane.
It's really, I can't fucking believe that actually happened. That's the kind of
love
unscripted
it.
stuff that we need to rely on for this
the
show
best.
to keep holding water.
I'm just gonna start googling like YouTuber names in my email address. You never know what could be in there.
Let's try it. Yeah, I'll talk about how I flew in, and so Mathas was kind enough to put me up in his place for PAX East, but I didn't
lasted a
realize.
night.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that he was an owner of 3 cats.
Yeah.
And I have a big cat allergy.
And I didn't even think to ask him if he had a cat allergy because I'm like, he's an internet personality. He loves cats.
I love cats. Yeah, I mean, I like cats. They just kill me. So that's the unfortunate side effect. But I felt really bad because of the first night. I was out on the couch and Jake was there. Red Panda Gamer was there with us, and I was like, so this would be about an approximation of how I sounded when I was sleeping.
Yeah, I was like,
It was so bad.
I was like, I'm so sorry. I did not warn you.
So I ended up, I think I actually slept okay on the couch for a little while, and then
After you tried to sleep on the bathroom floor, the
I
hallway
tried to.
floor.
I went into the bathroom with a pillow and a towel, and I tried that out for a little bit. I went into the hallway of his apartment complex, making sure that the door wouldn't lock behind me, and then I tried to lay down out there. I was actually kind of looking forward to a potential interaction with one of his other apartment residents. Oh hey, I'm just here for PAX. Yeah. Sorry.
Just leaving in your
Thinking
hallway.
this place looked okay.
Great.
There was the night as well. And now I have fond memories of Ben Kane and company too. Now
who doesn't?
because of the well, we found a really awesome bar in Boston. We found the one that was beneath Fenway Park, or the one that was like kind of inside part of Fenway Park. So you
Yeah,
could
that's
see
bleachers.
yeah,
The wave
Bar.
people as you pee.
exactly. Yeah, they had a window in the men's restroom, a window right above the urinals. That was a really
Just so you could watch the game, but
right.
you could actually
but-
just watch the people peeing.
Yeah, that was what they built it for. But I remember there was I think it was the Saturday night we went back out to bleachers, and I don't know why I think of Hooters whenever I say bleachers.
Well, bleachers would be like a place where everybody's asshole is like perfectly skin color.
That's why they got the windows in the bathroom.
How did I not see that coming? That's such an
Yeah.
obvious. I didn't even get it.
I was thinking like bleached tips, but Jesus Christ, you took it to a whole
No.
new
Them
place.
frosted tips, bro.
In
Like in high
frosting.
school.
Well, I remember the Saturday
Frosted
night.
lips.
Frosted
There you
lips.
go. We were there, and we were there with Ben Kane's crew, and that was like the day that we had checked out Keep Talking or Everybody Explodes, and I got pretty smashed on rum and Coke, which was basically all I drank the entire time we were there.
Yeah.
It was delicious. And I remember talking to Ben Kane's girlfriend adamantly about how good their game is. I was
yeah,
I was
you did.
so determined to convince her, like she didn't know. Like I had to tell her, like, your game is fucking awesome.
You don't
Make this happen. It's so good. And then I was like, at some point during that night, I was like hanging on to the railing by the benches
Yeah.
we were sitting at, and I was rocking back and forth. Like
You were doing a head motion like this behind the railing. That was in that video I made. That was like, you're all about
Yeah,
the views.
yeah, that's right. That was that classic video. I was calling out Rockleesmile for his corrupt YouTube tactics. He's all
Yep,
about the
yep.
views, man. He's
Yeah,
just
because
trying
I went. Bear was drunk. I took a video of it, put it up on my channel, monetized it.
He's just
I
trying to
told
cash
you,
in on his
man.
Bear drug views, man.
I make like 2 or 3 of those every PAX.
You're gonna have to
Really
fly
like
out to San Francisco to catch me. I think Prescription Pixel's actually going to be there, so she's going to be the one to roll in that YouTube money this year.
Woo!
I get to
Hey,
talk
like
about
15
GDC,
bucks.
right? I got all kinds of exciting things to talk about for GDC 2015. By that, I mean I have no idea what's going on there
Yo.
because
Their GDC is pretty cool because it's like PAX. Like, there's a lot of game booths, but half the people that are there to sell like their middleware that allows you to like make rocks in the environment
Speed treat.
faster.
Oh,
Exactly.
really?
And like age verification stuff. So like, not all the booths are empty. But like, we went to the Indie Mega booth last year. There were like 12 games in the Mega. It's not that big, but nobody was there at any of them. Like, even the devs weren't there, so you just kind of like walked up and started playing. Like, you know how at PAX it's like at least a 20-minute, 15-minute wait for
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
And then you
Here
need
was
to,
just
need to
walk
talk
up.
to the devs.
wow.
Yeah, right. You need to be like, oh yeah, I really liked it. Never gonna play that again.
Well, that means I have to talk to people extensively. I'm terrified of that. I'm already terrified about the freaking talk I have to give, let alone actually in having conversations with folks.
It'll be fine because no one's gonna go to it.
I know. There'll be
Exactly.
maximum 4 people in the audience.
Yeah.
That's what I'm planning.
What is
on.
the panel anyway?
It's called Everything You Need to Know About YouTubers, but we're too afraid to ask. And, just like based on that alone, there's zero questions that
TLDR,
spawn.
man.
I helped with the research.
He did, yeah. I actually used
tweeted
that
once.
stuff. I used that tweet in my findings.
Oh, sweet. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be recorded? Can I watch it after?
It will be, yeah. It'll be on the GDC Vault after the
Nice.
conference is over. And you get to see my disheveled manner up there.
You'll do great, Bear. Don't worry.
I'm self-depreciating because I need to bring the bar down before. Well, actually, it would have already taken place by the time everybody sees this, so I suppose I shouldn't really be predicting anything. Instead, let's take a past reference to it. Wasn't my talk great, everyone?
It
Oh, the
was
best is
so good. I loved it. It was really interesting. Yeah.
Can't move my lips.
Well, I think we can dive into the game discussion now, perhaps.
Sure.
I think that might be a good
Play
idea.
games.
We play games. We like to play some games. We played
Matt has
Catacomb Kids.
Fuck, goddamn it, Nick. nickname is never going away.
Mathas
okay.
Dank. No?
Dank has games.
Dank has
Dank?
games.
Matt has Dank.
Matt has Dank. That's better. I like that a lot more. We played Catacomb, kids. And it's hard as fuck.
Really hard.
Yeah.
This is
But I'm not
surprising.
entirely sure it's difficult for the right reasons.
Okay. You have to expound on
Elaborate,
that.
please.
That's big. That's
So-
a big dark.
First, what is Catacomb Kids?
That's
the
true.
question.
The procedurally generated dungeon crawler that really emphasizes experimentation with items in the environment and enemies. You never know what a potion's going to do unless you hold it for a while. If you hold it for a while, it'll tell you, like, this potion is cool to the touch, or it's cold, or it's hot. And then you can drink it and risk it, which could be poison, fire, ice, healing, any number of things. Or you could throw it at an enemy, and you could set them on fire, you could do electricity damage, or, as Ryan and I have learned, you can make them go invisible, and then they can fuck you.
Or give them regen.
Or give them regen, or give them electrical
awesome.
attacks, or any
Yeah.
number of different things. Which I think is one of its strongest suits, honestly. I really like the fact that it encourages this kind of experimentation situation. I haven't gotten too far in the game. I don't know about you guys. I've gotten down to like level 3.
I've tried to get far in the game.
Yeah. I've played like 4 or 5 hours, but I haven't made it past. I made it past level 4 once. Like you go through like
you made it further than me.
you
Does
go
it
through
get
like
any different?
3 Spelunky style dungeons where you're just kind of like trying to find the door, and then there's one that's like you find yourself in a narrow passageway, and then it's like a linear like side-scrolling level that's just really tight. So you have to like either kill all the enemies in the hallway or avoid them, and then you repeat the cycle kind of. But I'm not sure if you are actually repeating the cycle, if you're making progress or what.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Is it the same every time, though? Because I thought maybe that those floors were like events, because I've also had a Grumble encampment, which is a similarly linear experience.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's actually
Yeah.
set. You know, that's
It might just
as
show
part
off
of
on
the,
occasion.
It's part of the fun of the game, but also part of like the what can be frustrating about it is not really knowing what you're doing because it's more kind of like abstract in what it tells you, basically.
Right. Yeah, it's very experientially oriented. The more you play it, the better you're going to get. And I'm working on that. I started a series on it. I've spent a few hours into it. I think I'm going to get better eventually, but right now I'm actually going down. Like I'm getting worse.
Yeah.
So one of my big complaints about the game initially is it's such a simple complaint and you can kind of bypass it so easily, but the keyboard controls are hot shit. They're terrible.
I have people that are messaging me saying like, well, if you think the controls are bad, you should use the keyboard because I find the keyboard better.
I hate the
But
keyboard.
I think the controls better for it.
Me too.
It
I
feels
hate-
kind
I
of
hate-
slippery, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
when you're moving around, it feels like you're not really in
It
entire
feels
control of
slippery,
your guy.
and the controls don't feel as responsive as they should be. Where
There's a
is
slight
where
delay.
my complaints come from? Because I think the game is potentially good, but that type of game where you could die so quickly requires insane reflexes, or the controls just need to be so incredibly responsive that it's no fault of the controller; it's your own fault that you die. And there have been more than one occasion where I've sat there and go, I swear I pressed that button.
Yeah.
And nothing has happened, or it was delayed or whatever. And that's what's gotten me killed.
I'm going to provide the caveat real quick that this is in very early access,
Early
by
access.
the way. It's basically alpha, so there's still a ton of stuff they're going to do. So this is all very prone to change. So we're just talking about the game in its current state.
I don't mind a difficult game. I mean, a lot of my favorite games are super hard. I just think the difficulty has to come from the game itself and not from poor controller response. And that's where I've died. I don't want to say 50% of the time, but like probably 20% of my deaths have come from just the controller not, or at least what I thought I pressed a button, not having it happen, and the action not coming forward as it should have. So that's where I sit. Anybody else have that situation or that experience?
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I've actually died a lot of times to spikes because I go on a pressure trap and it didn't actually say that I ducked even though I was holding down.
Yep.
There's definitely a slipperiness to it, and I think you're pretty much on the ball about the controls need a little bit of work, especially the ladders. I think we'll all be in agreement. The ladders are very iffy.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're climbing down this, vertical shaft, and under you is a spike pit, and to the left and right of you, as you were to fall, you need to go off the ladder and then lean left or right to land on that. Most of the time, you can't just dismount off the ladder. You'll just fall at the bottom and perhaps just land on the spikes, which is frustrating.
I want to believe that this is going to be like another Spelunky-esque situation for me, because I remember, like, I can even go back to the videos that I made way back when Spelunky was coming out on the Xbox Live Arcade, and I was just all kinds of awful. Like, I've seen people play the game the first time, but I I don't think I actually knew how to hold my controller properly or something because goddamn I sucked so hard. And like now I am playing Catacomb Kids and I'm getting that feeling again. But
Same.
with this one, I don't know, man. Like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that much better at it. I'm dying within 10 seconds. Like that's how difficult it is for us sometimes. It's like we get to a point where you kind of have to jump into the blind sometimes. Like, you know, you can do like a crouching high jump to get up to a certain ledge that's in between a spike trap and a lava pit or something, and then there's a big dude with a spear that just comes charging at you as soon as you get into that
one-shots
position.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of your characters only start out with 3 or 4 hit points, and there's a lot of enemies in the first stage. There's a lot of enemies that do 3 damage per hit. So I mean,
is there really a reason to be fighting the enemies?
I mean, you can
eat them. They have drops.
You can eat them, and if you have like a hunger meter.
Oh, do you have a
after
hunger meter? Oh shit.
Well, it only shows up. It's pretty small. But after you eat anything, its face icon like pops up into the bottom left, and then when you eat 5 things, it gets filled up, and you get like an effect out of it, either HP or.
Oh, I saw that. No, I
Yeah.
saw that. Okay, okay.
There's bonuses too, depending on if you eat certain combinations of things. So you can actually kind of min-max those strategies based on what's around.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know how big of a factor the eating of the bodies is going to be. I feel like they're going to try to like flesh that out a little bit more. I'm trying to remember. I think it was sort of the Stars of the Pit that had that similar take on, you know, like how you could experiment with potions beforehand and like identify them later on. I might be thinking of something else, but I think that was what it was.
Yeah.
I think they're going to maybe take a similar approach to the consumption of the bodies or things like that. So, you know, maybe for certain character classes, they only have 2 of them available right now, but there's 6 total that are going to be available later on. But maybe for some character classes, if you eat 14 bats through the course of a run, then you get, you know, flying powers or something
That would
like
be cool.
that. Yeah. I found a winged hat. That made things a lot easier.
Nice.
You ever find
I
a
can
winged
imagine.
hat?
Were you able to fly or like double
You
jump?
you can like just float around those. So, like normally how you would land on spikes
cape,
and die,
okay.
you can like float down. Yeah, it's basically kind of like a cape. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was neato.
That is
But
good.
I feel like
do
there's a
get-
lot of depth to it that I just haven't been able to find because I suck so hard at the game.
Yeah.
It's exactly what my feeling is right now. I will say that it's a nice game in that the more I play it, the less I dislike it. And that's not like that sounds like I hated it at first. And I think like Nick and I were having a conversation as I was playing it, and I was like, I don't get this at all. And it took about like an hour for me to get through that barrier to entry where I actually figured out like, okay, this is like how to work the best that I can work with the controls. And after that point, and I've started being able to like experience some of the stuff for myself and experiment with you know the different kind of combinations of items and usages and stuff like that you can do.
Sorry, I fixed your face as you were talking. My bad.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I was like, somebody behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, are we getting robbed right now? But all of us at the same time. But like it's almost like I have 2 different meters. I have like my enjoyment of the game and my problems with the game, and the problems are coming down a little bit, and enjoyment is kind of stayed at like a little bit of the same level. So I'm not sure. I get what you're saying though. It feels like you're just getting like the tip of the iceberg, and once you get better at the game, then you can actually start to experience the rewards of all the experimentation and stuff like that. But for right now, mostly it's like, you know, you got to learn how to crawl before you can walk, and I'm just getting shit on by the first enemy like half the time.
You gotta
It
learn how to
rewards
crawl before you
methodical
can catch
play.
them, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
you have
sure,
to
like-
have a plan. If you find yourself like not knowing what's happening, then you're just done. Like
Yeah.
one guy's gonna stab you with a pike, and then your life is over.
Yep.
But it's kind of like Hotline Miami in that respect, whereas if you see a situation, you look at all the tools you have available and you come up with the best plan of action before you jump in, or you just try and button mash and usually you'll just die. So,
That's a very apt comparison, actually. I didn't even think about
I
Hotline Miami.
was thinking the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
was
good.
That was a
That's-
good comparison. I would never
job.
have thought of that.
Good job, Nick.
oh, thanks
Way to
very
go.
much, guys. Oh, you guys are so sweet.
Sorry,
But,
fuck you, Nick.
Oh, there you go. That's that's the dichotomy we're used to.
Right.
The other side, though, of it is as much as we were complaining about the controls, I think when they're operating well, meaning not dealing with ladders and generally like kind of 1 to 2 tile distances, you actually move really smoothly over the terrain. And I do start to feel like I'm getting more facile with the ability to traverse, you know, different groups of situations in quick order. And I think eventually I'm going to get to the point where I can kind of suss out a situation, grab a tool, kill something, set up a trap, and then like use it to my advantage. Whereas right now I'm completely operating on the defensive, just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So I look forward to crossing that threshold, and I think at that point the game's going to become extremely satisfying.
Well, I remember I definitely walked away with a positive opinion of the game, and a lot of what I said, can be attributed to it's early access, it'll be fixed,
Sure.
or has plenty of time to be fixed. I agree with you that I did feel like there was a lot there that I wasn't able to experience, but hopefully, if I go back to it and play a lot more, and if they tighten up the controls a little bit, I could eventually get good enough to experience it all. So
I feel like there's probably a 90 to 10 ratio of me just not being good enough at the game to get a satisfactory experience, and then there's just like little tiny things that bother me that are kind of holding me back. I really like the orb leveling system they have in there too. So every single stage that you go into has an orb within it hidden somewhere that you have to find in order to actually level up. So you can't really just go from dungeon to, or from room to room and progress very well, because you're going to get your ass kicked if you don't spend the time to try to go find the orb that you need to actually boost your character's stats. That kind of is an interesting way to, force your hand at trying to traverse the obstacles that they present you with. And in that same vein of what I was talking about, of how I'm just not good enough, or I haven't practiced enough to actually get through things, I feel like they do a very good job of providing you, for the most part, providing you with the tools you need and the knowledge you need a forefront to get through most sections. Like, there's a lot of traps that you can set off. For example, there's spikes that will come from the ceiling if you trigger a little panel on the floor or something like that. And there are weighted chains that will fall from the ceiling, stuff that will kill you most of the time if you're not paying attention to it. But it's like Nick said, you benefit a lot more from taking a methodical approach to the situation, and the game does a pretty damn good job of presenting you with everything you need to be able to get through it in one piece.
I think like a lot of games have like a language to the movement that it takes a little while to learn. Like Mirror's Edge, like once you figure out where the handholds and the wall mounts are, it's a lot easier to get around. And Spelunky, once you figure out how high your jump is, how far you can fall, when to throw a rope down and stuff like that, it becomes a lot smoother, and you're not. Like, I remember I used to, like, be super scared whenever there was a vine pit. And I'd be like, oh, there's no way I'm getting across this. Like, I got to use ropes or something. So I think that this is another game like that, where there's just like you got to put in like an hour and a half, 2 hours, even more, to even just be able to traverse your environment without you being the greatest danger to yourself. Right. And, that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. But for me, I think that it's definitely like a good roguelite, whatever you want to call it right now. The question that will be answered, over the course of its development in early access and when it actually comes out, is whether it'll take its place like in the upper echelon, where only a few games really are the kind of stuff that you can play for hundreds and hundreds of hours and has like appeal to a wide variety of people, infinite replayability, stuff like that, or if it's going to be in kind of like that crowded field of stuff that is fun, but do you really want to dedicate 200 hours to it when you can dedicate 200 hours to something else? Yeah, and that's, especially with games who are dabbling into that roguelike genre, it's such a competitive market for people's times, because there's so many games out there, and only a few of them are able to be like, I could put like 500 hours into The Binding of Isaac or Spelunky or whatever, and you really have to do something incredibly unique and do it incredibly well to warrant people coming back for endless amount of hours. Yeah. I make fun of MOBAs for this, but it is kind of like that, where I'm like... Same thing, yeah, if I play a game that's like The Binding of Isaac, but not quite as good, I'm like, why wouldn't I just play The Binding? I've already got this invested time in The Binding of Isaac that it took me forever to get as decent as I am right now, so it takes a lot to kind of, take over that time.
For sure. So yeah, I think we all had a generally good experience with it. We just all suck balls at it. That's why I've been kind of reticent to start a series on it, because I know that the first 25-minute video is going to probably involve 50 deaths. Yeah. Like, I'm not even really exaggerating that much either. So
yeah, no, it's probably likely that is the case. But you can go out of the door and respawn your level, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is an important part of it. So if you see something that's just like, oh, fuck that, then you can just go back through the door and try to get into a better situation.
Can you grab the leveling orb and then respawn the level and do it again?
No.
You can't take a leveling orb through the door.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, use the leveling orb and then go through it and respawn the first level.
Oh,
not take it with you.
I think they'll just bring you to a new room. I mean, it's basically like going to the next room, isn't it? Or I don't know how it really.
Well, if you go through,
I get what he
if
means.
the orb is like right off the bat, maybe it's worth it. But if you like went through the whole level to get the orb, what's the point of like going back in? And
well, does the next floor, like level 2, get harder, or no?
I
not
think
really.
it does.
No? Okay,
Doesn't it?
then I'm just done.
It's so randomized that I don't know that you can necessarily say that.
Well,
Yeah.
Ryan said like you get to the point where you go through a narrow corridor or something like that. Is there a boss stage after that, or what happens then?
There eventually could be, but I think it's
fought a
event driven.
boss on
You
like
fought a
level. I fought a boss on like level 2 or level 3, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's like if you were playing Spelunky and you came across like the jetpack octopus part in the ice caves for the first time. You'd
Oh,
be like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
is that always here, or did I do
Right.
something to make it, or is it random, or
Right.
I hope there's stuff like that though. That's what makes those games fun. Is like triggering events that you might not
Finding
necessarily
those
know.
new encounters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And none
Man.
of us know the scope of the game yet either. We don't know how long
Yeah.
it is or where
Right.
it goes, or so
I
like
mean, how
I
much
can't
is
wait
even
to do that.
undeveloped at this point?
Yeah.
There might only be 3 levels because they just don't expect anybody to make it that far.
True.
Only made it to 4 once, so
Yeah, God, it's ridiculous.
I
So
will
try
say
it for
that,
yourself.
oh yeah, I will say that like in its early access state, it is, I don't know what it is American, probably 15.
16.
16? Yeah, so it's like $17.99 or something Canadian. If you have reticence about that, you should probably just wait on it, because there's enough negative, even though I'm enjoying it, there's enough negative for me to say like you should probably take a wait and see approach.
Yeah, it's too
Because
it's too early.
Yeah, I think it's a little too early if you have a problem with the price point. If you're like, like $15 is pennies to me, and more power to you, then I've played it for like 4 or 5 hours at this point, so it's hard to argue that I haven't gotten my money's worth. But I think if you're not necessarily open to doing that, you can probably get better value for your money right now with some other stuff.
And I think it
it's kind of a
appeals to
competitive
small
market
niche.
right now. I was just saying it's kind of a competitive $15 market right now.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest.
Well,
What'd you say?
But it does fill a bit of a void in a way. It's like, imagine like a fantasy Spelunky paired with 1001 Spikes style difficulty. Like if you really like a hardcore game, this might be just right for you.
Yep.
I agree with the sentiment of hold off for a little while, though. I mean, I'm saying if you want to show us that it's easy as pie and we just suck balls, then by all
Yeah.
means, go for it.
No,
But-
please, go ahead.
But I think there's a ton of potential here for a really deep and interesting and awesome roguelite dungeon experience. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with the rest of their early access time.
These are like early impressions as well. Like it's
Yeah.
worth noting that there are people out there, if you look at like Steam reviews for Spelunky, they have like 45 minutes in it, and they're like, I don't get, it's just the game's only an hour long and it's $15 and it's an Xbox port, like 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we might
Garbage.
be in that stage right now. Like there might be so much depth that it's just not making all of that clear on first impression. But
Right.
only
Indeed.
time will tell.
I'm pretty sure it's going to have some really good stuff going on. I'm like 80% sure we're going to be super impressed with it by the end.
Yeah.
But
I
that's
do
my
hope
guess.
so, because I did like walk away with that impression that this had a lot of potential. So
Another one that is coming out of, I think it was in early access, right? Hand of Fate? I'm pretty sure
It was.
it was in early access. Yeah. I didn't touch it in early access though. I only played it when it released.
I got a code
Right.
for it a long time ago, and now we're getting into the full release, and I'm really sad that I didn't play it before, because goddamn, this is actually really cool. Like, I am really loving Hand of Fate. This
It's
is
really special.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and explain it, I suppose. It's a card game mashed together with an action game. So you play the card game to start out with. I really love the way that they kind of just throw you into it too. So the first time you boot up the game, you are just introduced to the guy. I guess you call him like the card master or whatever you want to call him. I guess he probably
dealer.
gets a name or something. The dealer, yeah, there you go. And
danker.
the danker, there we go. He's dealing that dank all over the table. He don't do it anymore. He just you
Don't
just
dank
get thrown,
it anymore.
Stop it, God! You just get
All right,
thrown
Mathas
into the
leaving.
mix here. Mathas is done. Of the card game, and you don't have much trouble. At least I didn't have any trouble at all. Just kind of jumping into it and saying, "Oh, okay, here we go. This is how we play this." So you get into the card game mix, and then you get thrown into your first battle, and it shows you a little tutorial of the controls, and the battle scenes are exactly like Batman combat, but we don't need to dwell on that too much. And it's pretty fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I remember I walked away. In my opinion, when I did a video on it, I just remember saying this is incredibly special. Like this game does so much right that what it does wrong is you can kind of like forgive it a little bit for it. Particularly, the combat's really the only thing I'm talking about that's not great.
It's Batman.
But it's bad.
They're not even trying to hide the fact that it's Batman. It's like literally Batman.
It's definitely Batman, but it's bad Batman. It's not good.
Kind of shallow. Like there's not
it's
much
super
going
shallow,
on.
and there's an easiness to it. But the presentation is what makes this game so good. The dealer's voice acting and his lines and his quips are amazing. How you interact with things and like you win a reward, how he'll just pick it up out of the thing and he'll give it to you. Just there's such an attention to detail with what he's doing, and because it's such a simple idea and it's mostly just this card game, that had to be perfect. The dealer had to be great. The environment in which you're playing the game had to be amazing because there's not much else to look at outside of the combat, which is still not that great. And they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. And there's a lot of mystery, like why am I here? Why am I playing this game? What is he talking about these players who have come and played before? And I love that. I love almost everything about this game. It is so good.
We just love it, don't we?
I guess so.
I think we're all. It's a game that is like. There are some games where the opinion is like all over the board, and some people love it and some people hate it. And then there's games like this one where I think the actual opinion of it is incredibly narrow. Like everybody exists within this range of being like, this game is good, the tone and atmosphere are awesome. The brawling kind of sucks, but it's intriguing enough that it doesn't really matter. Like I don't think there's very much disagreement at all.
Like,
it works.
I thought it was just okay, honestly.
Okay, good. Tell us, please. I'm encouraged.
I still need to understand why I think it's okay, because honestly, I haven't completely figured it out yet. So I started it up. I was like, all right, we're going to play a card game. What's going on here? I was like, here's a bunch of tokens. Here's some cards. Stuff's flying around. There's some text. Then we're doing this little Yogg thing for a second. And he's like, what do you want to do out of these three options? Do you want to go get the sword, or do you want to leave the sword? I'm like, well, which one of these is really going to yield anything? I don't know what I'm even doing yet. All right, and then we eventually get to a combat card, kill a couple of dudes. I'm like, all right, I basically baited them into attacking in Dark Souls and hit them in the back of the head. Then that was over. And then I beat the boss, and that was kind of it. And I didn't know why we were doing any of this yet. So I didn't know if I was
do one mission.
Tutorial. No, I did the first two.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't give it a ton of time, but I gave it like an hour. And,
a lot of the fun for me comes from trying to figure out, because those cards that come up, you're like, what do I do? What's going to yield the best thing? Like, you're going to come across those cards multiple times until you beat the card, and then he'll give you the token for it. And that token, some of the time, will unlock always unlocks a new card, but depending on the quest that you beat, will unlock the next stage of that quest. So you can take that card, put it in your deck, take the old card out, and then that storyline for that card or that decision continues in the next card. And you get rewards that go throughout. And there's you're basically taking the role of an adventurer, and think of the cards on the table as the dungeon of the world you're going through. And these little cards that are popping up are random encounters or quests that you're making decisions on how to interact with.
So I went to this maze, right? And there were all these traps everywhere, and it was like, these are really easy to avoid, and I just avoided all of them.
The game does have a problem. The learning curve is too gentle if you have any experience at all with brawlers. The first time I played and this is not going to be bragging because I'm pretty sure this story is pretty common, but the first dungeon I did the whole thing without getting hit. It's just there's 4 enemies max, and they have the big fuck me prompt that pops up over their head, and you just hit the button and counter them.
Fuck me prompt.
So it takes it takes probably about an hour to 2 hours to get to the point where you're encountering enough enemies that you're gonna consistently get hit. And I have died, but it required. I have died.
You're terrible. Jesus.
Yeah, really bad.
So bad at games, Ryan.
It required things to go really, really badly in order for it to happen.
Well, the shit that I think I died, I've died too. The things that killed me are the poison, standing in the corpses of poisonous rats. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
I totally agree. I hope so.
It does. It does. But
it does get harder.
You have to. It carries itself for the first 90 minutes until it gets to the point where it's actually challenging because of the novelty of the dealer and the game that you're playing. And I kind of feel that because the brawling sections in the early game are so small, it's almost just I don't know, it's almost like a slot machine mini game or something like that where you're just tick, tick, tick.
So I got that feeling. That's kind of what I wanted to expound on, is the fact that I kind of wish they explored the possibilities in switching between the gameplay styles a little bit more. So they take you from the card game and they put you into the fights, and it's just in this tiny little confined space. So, like, for example, the first 2 or 3 fights are just all on this little cliff thing. And what I kind of wish they would allow you to do is, you know, almost like a Hunger Games situation. So they put you somewhere in, you know, an RPG-esque format, and they allow you to go explore around, because you can destroy boxes and stuff. So if you could do that and, you know, find treasure out there in the open world, and then eventually you could run into the pack of bandits or something like that, I felt like there was a lot more that they could explore in that realm, because they could tell you, okay, so there's 3 separate packs of bandits that you have to kill, and then there's like a bandit leader, and you have this equipment, but you can go find more stuff. And while that may not, you know, directly tie in very well to the card game, I feel like they took enough liberties with the dealing of the cards and the way that they distribute your inventory and your equipment and stuff, to where I don't think it would have been that big of a stretch to allow you to be a bit more freeform with that particular portion of the game.
I almost wish they hadn't done the 3D element altogether, period. I wish they had maybe just focused completely on the CCG aspect of the game and done something similar to our Mellow combat, where you have little basic animations of you against whatever enemies. Whatever cards you have, you play, gives you bonuses. Maybe you roll some dice, maybe you just play cards, and depending on how well you do against the enemy's hand, you either win or you lose, and then you go to the next step. There could have been a lot of cool interactions with the dealer or something in that way, where that could have made it really fun, and just ditched the 3D brawling element altogether. Because if you're going to do 3D brawling, you have to have immaculate production value behind it to make it look good and play good. And if you can't pull that off, don't try it. And doing something like Armello could have been cheaper to do and would have fit the card game narrative way better, in my opinion.
I kind of agree with you. I think that probably would have made more sense for both budgeting and production reasons. I was thinking, though, in the opposite direction. What if the whole game took place as that character in the 3D world the whole time, and the cards were sort of an overlay? And I'm imagining sort of like a Binding of Isaac-style room where you go from one area to the next and you're transitioning cards. You're actually physically walking through those areas. That seemed better to me.
Straight up disagree with all of you.
Okay.
I think the brawling is the weakest element of the game, by far. So I definitely disagree with Bear and Nick that I wouldn't want the whole game to take place in a 3D world. I think it would, or even just to see it fleshed out more. Because I think for me, it would make it like less of like the brawling is kind of a novelty, and more that this is kind of like a third-rate Assassin's Creed or, you know, God of War or something like that. It would become like Garshasp, the Monster Slayer or something like that. Which sounds like a made-up title.
Dang,
I wish it was.
I know what that was.
But I wouldn't really want it to be just like a pen and paper style RPG or with like dice roll combat, because one of the principal draws for me is that there's the RNG system when it comes to like the card draw. Although apparently you actually can watch the success and failure cards like as they pop up, and you can sort of see. That's what I said in my video. I said emphatically you can't do that, and people were like, "No, you actually can."
There's no.
I thought it was the skull game from Isaac.
I think people were like, if you follow like you can usually follow like the top card, and that's it. But I don't know.
No, okay, so people know what we're talking about. There's the 4 cards pop up, and then depending on your odds of success, like there's going to be either 3 successes and 1 failure, or 3 failures and 1 success. Then they all just mesh together in the center, and then they just fan out again. I'm pretty sure you can't.
People have told me that you can follow it.
I have found a pretty good success, and now I thought you were talking about combat, and I misunderstood what you were talking about, and they're talking about the cards. When they do that, I have been able to, if the card goes on top, and then it slides off something else, that has always been the card I'm looking at. So I have had success following the cards when they do shuffle and then spread out again.
You might be able to follow the top, but other than that, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm sure they're layered underneath, but there's no. I agree. There's no way to see where they are underneath. So unless it's the top card, I feel like you might be gambling a little bit.
I don't want to call the commenters liars. But.
Well, even if it is true, it doesn't mean that it's not RNG. Because if you have 2 success, 2 failure, and you find a failure card, it helps your odds, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee you success on it.
Right.
But anyway, I like that it has a pseudo RNG, or at least probabilistic based mechanic like that, with the card draw for tests and checks and stuff like that, and then also a skill check as well when it comes to the brawling. The problem is that in the early game you will not die unless you're god awful, and I'm terrible at video games.
Like you've never held a controller in your life.
Yeah. Like even if you've never played Assassin's Creed: Shadow of Mordor or Arkham, any of those, I can't imagine that you would find yourself getting hit enough to be at risk of death. And that's why I kind of like the endless mode. It doesn't quite grab me because it's a little bit too long for my taste, but every time you go down a floor in the endless mode, they give you a curse. And the curse can be like, these enemies become stronger, or you permanently lose like 10 HP, or, you eat double the food or something like that. That last one was made up. I didn't see it. But you get the thematic, gist of it. So the game like stacks up in its own favor faster than it does in the single player. But I like the campaign mode because each one is over in like 10 to 15 minutes, which is like the perfect amount of time to be like, yeah, I can dedicate 20 minutes to this right now.
Yep. I kept finding myself going back just to play another run, just to have another next level, beat the next level, beat the next level.
I think I would have had a better first impression if it would have introduced me like 2 levels in instead of at the beginning.
Yeah.
It was just so easy. I was like, can we just get on with it? I want to get to the actual game part now. There's no difficulty at all.
It's worse as well when they start introducing, I don't know if you see this in that section of the game, they start introducing things like goblins that take your treasure.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, they actually just ran away and I beat them to death and nobody did anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. You would like run into goblins and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go mash X for like a minute, and then
I kind of wish there was like a timer on it where if you don't kill them in a certain amount of time, they'll run away with whatever they have.
That might be happening. Like I did take so long on one that they like spawned a portal in the ground.
Oh, well,
they didn't get
Diablo,
to go.
Then.
I think it is like Diablo style. Yeah.
Really? Okay, I didn't see that. I've never seen that. Usually because it's too easy to just to beat them to death before anything happens.
Hand of Fate is real weird for me because I think that the brawling is pretty weak, and the other stuff is pretty light. Like the dungeon crawling stuff is not very strategic or anything like that. You pretty much just roll with the punches. But overall, I think it's much better than the sum of its parts. Like it makes a very likable game out of like these parts that are not necessarily super strong in their own rights.
I think they set out from the onset with the idea of we're gonna combine a brawler with a trading card game, and I think they did that very, very well. It's just that I guess when you take that approach, it's going to be kind of difficult to do a good job on both fronts. And I think that with the trading card game aspect, they nailed it. They blew it out of the water. But with the brawler, there's just, it's kind of a natural sacrifice just due to the fact that they have to commit a finite amount of resources to making things as good as they can.
Yeah.
I don't think the brawling is awful.
I really it's like Mathas said, it's a poor man's Arkham City.
Yeah,
is really what it is.
It doesn't feel satisfying to do. If it's functional and it works, but I'd rather be beating fools than Batman.
The animations are a little janky too, and I would say like maybe 1 out of every 5 encounters, you're like, oh, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then the other ones, your dude is like in the middle of doing an axe swing, and then just like all of his momentum fades away as he like dodge rolls backwards out of an attack. And
or like you kill the last enemy and it's going into that slow animation, but your shield is like a solid like 6 inches away from touching him, but he's like, oh god,
that gust of wind was powerful. Oh.
It reminded me of Fable combat a lot. Actually, it felt like there was very little impact to it.
Yeah, Fable
kind of
combat
there
sucked too.
I wish they de-emphasized the combat. Like if there was just 1/4 of the game was combat instead of like half and half.
I feel like it was even half and half. I think I don't have that complaint about it. I think the amount of combat was probably palatable.
It felt like the main event to me though. Like every other card was more combat.
I didn't have that experience. Maybe you
got a bad draw.
I guess. Yeah, you got bad cards, mate. Great bait.
And it is true. The further you go in and the more cards you collect, the more varied your experience is going to be.
You can also like, because each of the suits is themed to like an element kind of. Like you can get like the Jack of Plague or whatever. You do as you go through accrue cards that will be like anti-poison or like this does extra damage against rats and stuff like that. So you can actually customize decks in order to give you a better weighted chance of getting equipment that is actually good against those enemies. And
you can customize the dealer's deck to a certain degree too to make it less combat heavy if you want.
I didn't know that actually.
Oh,
you did? Okay.
Well, that helps.
Well,
then.
when you build your decks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Left hand is your deck. Right hand is his deck.
Oh,
And
okay.
then when you give him when you say okay, he will still insert cards of his own into it.
Okay.
But you're still building the deck that he's going to be drawing from. And then
Alright.
when you give it to him and he shuffles it up, he's like, I'm putting these in whether you like it or not. And it's just
Gotcha.
like, those are the cards with the little, the dark tint and like the little ribbon on the right-hand corner. Those are cards that he inserted himself.
And dude, they took the you unlock new card mechanic straight out of Hearthstone,
And it's
but
great.
it's so good
Yeah.
when you get it's like you've unlocked these cards. You're like tick 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 tick, and
Yep. When the thing
You
like,
got to know what
first
they
open,
mean first, though.
Yeah.
no, it doesn't matter. You got them.
It's that
Yeah.
I
mystery,
didn't get
man.
that feeling. I was like, okay, more cards that I don't know what they are. Keep them
You
coming.
didn't really play Hearthstone either, though.
Yeah.
You're immune to
A little
the
bit.
charms.
Hearthstone's just opening a pack of cards is just a giant dopamine
Hearthstone has
rush.
poisoned us all with that card
Well-
rush, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
I also don't want it to come across like I'm just shitting on this game either. I didn't think it was bad. I just it didn't capture my attention the way I think I would have
Dare
liked.
you.
I thought the
I
novelty
think-
of it was very well done, so I applauded
Yeah.
it for that.
I think if I gave it more time, I would probably have a more favorable impression of Hand of Fate. I just don't really want to give it more time. It was just like, all right, that was fun.
Fair enough.
Dare.
I like it a lot. I think it's I think if you see what it's all about, I mean, you can get a decent understanding of how the game works by checking out the trailer, looking at the screenshots, stuff like that. It gives you a pretty good understanding of it. So you can go to the store page and you can see whether or not you're going to enjoy it. And I can say for what the novelty of it is, I think it's well done. I think it could be better, but I think it's good enough to warrant the purchase of it. That's my final thought.
Wasn't it a bit on the expensive side, though?
I wish it was a
20?
little cheaper.
I thought it was 25.
25?
I think it's 25.
Hand of Fate.
It's 25 Canadian.
Oh,
It's $24.99 American. So
Oh, well, it's
Oh.
the same price, Canadian and American. What up with that?
what up with that?
That doesn't happen very often anymore.
Regional hospitality. Look at that. Look at them go. So that is our 2 games for this episode. And speaking of games, I like some weird games. You want to go get us a weird game, Nick?
Yeah, I got one for you.
I
Give me a
need to
sec.
hear that theme song again. You want to give us a variation of it?
Nick's Weird Games. Nick's Weird Games.
like
This
the Addams
is a
Family.
dirge version of Nick's Weird Games.
It's great.
Got to keep it going.
So impressed.
He's not back
Can you
yet.
sing that in person? At PAX?
Yeah, I could.
That'd be great.
Someone will
We
probably
want to put on a
actually ask
concert
me
of
to
just like the
PAX.
variants of you singing the Nick's Weird Games theme song.
Was that a dirge version?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fred Dirge.
Fred Dirge.
Dankus Dirge.
Fred Dank.
Oh boy.
Dirge's
All right.
Danction.
Next Weird
Dank
Games
is
is the
Dirge.
segment that we're continually doing, regardless of all the feedback we're getting about it, when it goes to get games. we
We
try
don't
to
give a
talk
shit.
about what it is, because we like doing it. What do we got this time?
All right, this one is definitely a bit of a different vibe than the last couple. This one's maybe a little bit more on the serious side, so I
All
hope
right.
you're ready.
All
Ready?
right, then.
This is R-Type Final.
Ooh.
Now, you've probably heard about R-Type before, but do you know about R-Type Final?
I have never heard of
Like
any
a
of
Galaga
this.
shooter type thing?
Not exactly like a Galaga type.
Is that made by
shooter, no,
Fresh
Mathas.
Games? Is that what that says?
No, this is... it says Fresh at the bottom?
Yeah, it says.
No.
Is that
Yeah,
that's the
Fresh
best name
Games.
for a game studio of all time?
Fresh
Yo, this
Games
shit's
by
fresh.
IDOS.
Yo, Fresh Homes.
And IREM on the back, actually.
Wow.
So the thing about R-Type is, well, it's been a long-running series for a long time. There's been, games like Gradius before that have similar vibe, and this and that have always been kind of, I don't know if
That's what I meant,
rivals.
by the way. Gradius, not
Oh.
Galaga.
Fair enough. Yeah, definitely not Galaga. So the big thing about this one in particular is, yes, it's sort of a hybridized 2D, 3D version of R-Type, but the deal is there's freaking 100 ships in it that you can choose
They
from. and
try to show
customize.
all of them on the box art, which I think is a
Yeah, I
questionable
noticed.
call.
They didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
I think they're a few shy, but there's like 25 on the cover maybe. So the big thing here is you basically unlock them sort of like collecting Pokemon in a way. You try and complete various objectives that require you to do X and Y, and then you're presented with another ship, and they all have their own weaponry and gameplay style.
King
to it.
of the shooters.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is. It's a pretty meaty game, honestly, for a side-scrolling shooter like that. I don't think I've ever
R-Type Final is a horizontal scrolling shooter video game by IREM for the PlayStation 2 video game console, originally planned as the last game in the series. And then you go and you look at R-Type video games. After R-Type Final, you have R-Type Tactics and R-Type Tactics 2 Operation Bitter Chocolate.
I've never heard of this particular one, actually.
Wait, what?
Bitter chocolate.
Bitter chocolate.
Operation Bitter Chocolate for the PSP.
It's like for cooking. It's not meant for consumption.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah. It's like baker's chocolate.
R-Type
So let's play
Tactics
right here.
2, Operation
Easy
Bitter
beginnings,
Chocolate.
So
Oh
you
my
can
God.
challenge friends with your customized ships in AI versus mode. So there's also like a ghost mode, which is weird because this is a PS2 game. So like you're gonna have your friend over and be like, dude, you gotta check out the ghost ship I made in R-Type Final. I bet it's gonna beat your ass. It's got lasers like you wouldn't believe.
Oh man, this guy's Let's Play that I'm watching of R-Type Bitter Chocolate right now is he's holding the PSP and he's like holding a camera.
Oh,
over the
he's
PSP.
got it like all right here,
That's
right?
hard,
He's got
man.
The camera set
like,
up?
and
Oh my God.
it's like shaky cam. I'll link you just in case you want to
Oh
watch
no,
it.
that's amazing.
But it's like
IRM
Bitter
set up-
Chocolate is like it looks like it's a tactics game.
Yeah, it's a tactics
Yeah,
game, apparently.
It says tactics in
IRM
the
set
title.
up IRM Burger as their 2004 prank. R-Type played a supporting role here with 3 Bido burgers. As well,
Yeah.
some of the other burgers were filled with game discs, the one for R-Type Final proudly on display right below the top bun. What the fuck does that sentence mean?
I don't
Wait,
even know
no,
what
they
you're talking
serve
about.
burgers with game discs in them, right? Is that what we're saying here?
I think that
Bido
must be it.
burgers. The
Huh.
Bido Empire is what you're fighting in R-Type. They're like the
Oh.
alien empire.
Bido into this R-Type burger, and then you chop down and you get a
Pretty dank.
mouthful of disc. That's delicious.
I'm
That's Nick's
hungry
Weird
already.
Games. That was certainly a weird game, man. It led us to R-Type Tactics 2 Bitter Chocolate. I don't know if we're gonna find a much more bizarre title.
I
Oh,
played
I'm
the
sure you got
first
something.
R-Type on Sega Master
Sega Master
System.
System.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
where I started with it as well.
Wow.
It's a good game.
Followed the series pretty much the whole time. As weird as that is to say, except
Never
for the
got
bitter
into those.
chocolate
The
element.
shooters never really tickled me.
That's
Not
amazing.
for everybody.
Well, thank you very
Sega
much,
Master System.
then, for tuning in for this episode of the Roundtable Podcast, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. We want to say that we have, well, okay, we did, and now it's gone, but maybe by the time of this airs, it'll be back. We'll hit that second milestone goal. So the Twitch live stream is going to be happening, but unfortunately, as you probably guessed, we're all out of town this week, so it won't be possible now, but... we're hoping for the week of the, I guess it'll be like the week of the 8th or something like that would be ideally when we'll start doing those. Twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast is the one that you're going to be following if you want to get the notifications of when we go live for that. You can also follow us on Twitter at RoundtablePC for all those notifications there too. I do want to say luck is a skill you have to learn, just so you guys always remember that. Take that to heart.
I was
And
gonna
wanna-
say it. I was like, I'm like,
Okay,
oh,
yeah,
I'm
good.
gonna say
You were
it,
on ball.
I'm
You were on the
gonna say
ball with it too. I do have to say a big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, guys. Patreon.com/roundtable. If you want to consider supporting the podcast, that is awesome of you to do so. I want to thank all of our $5 tier supporters and above, starting with the big guy, Max. Max, thank you very much for your contribution, buddy, as well as Christopher, Casey, Cataby, Bob Nguyen, Jeff Rush, Robert, David, a.k.a. Vaxid, Matt, Julian, Hired Help, Caspian Crawdad, Kevin, EP Diablo, Maximilian Messerschmidt. I love that. That is an amazing
That's an
name.
amazing name.
Solid.
Simurfet, Lewis, Logan, Ignacio, Full-Grown Gaming, Batman9502, Kaj, Starcopper, Eroticals. That is also very good.
Erotic Bionicles.
Radicals, huh?
Now I'm gonna fuck this up again. He sent me a SoundCloud recording of his name,
Oh, God.
but I think it's Gish van der Vliet. It's still that's probably worse. It's probably a lot worse than the first time I tried to read it. Laurel, Grace, Peter, Thomas, Michael, Zachary, Unix, Sebastian, John, Michael, Justin, Morton, Scott, Urbane, Muscaf, DP, Jesse, Chris, Eric, Dylan, Tobias, James, Chris, Grimbo, Andrew, Chris again, different Chris's, if you can imagine it being the case. Nim, Gramey, Will, Logan, Jay, Lindsay, Josh, Sam, Christopher, Titan, Luke, Paul, Nathan, Rusty, Hole, Yummy, Chris, Constantinos. That's awesome. James, Donut Overlord, Jose, Benjamin, Jordan, Positron, Brizzle, Andrew, Sebastian, Cooper, Marvin, Nathan, Luke, Ian, Christoph, the Owacock, Julian,
Ow, my cock.
the Owacock, Lucas, Dudok, Jack, Tobias, Jackakar, Doug, Hammerschnitz, Tom, Hugh, Big D Docking Dude, Joseph, and Connor. Thank you all
Something
very
happened to
much.
Ryan.
What was
Over
that?
there. He just like knocked himself silly somehow.
That was real long. Thank you,
It's-
though.
That's
Thank you.
impressive, is it not?
Thank
That
you
is
indeed.
fantastic. Thank you all very much for your support. We appreciate it a lot. All kinds of cool stuff coming your way for the Patreon exclusive supporters as well. And guys, we thank you very much for watching the Roundtable Podcast or listening to it on iTunes and SoundCloud. Thank you
Oh, and
for
I hope you enjoyed our
joining us.
animated opening this
Yes,
time.
Indie Mouse
Yeah.
is awesome. Thank you very much for that animated intro, Indie Mouse. He's
Stop.
the man. If you're listening to this and not watching, we highly recommend you go check out the animated version of the intro now because it's pretty spectacular. So,
And thank you to all the people who did iTunes reviews as well. We really appreciate those.
indeed,
They help a lot.
we love you. We'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Don't kiss. God damn it.
This podcast is entirely supported by you, the listener. To consider supporting us as well as seeing the ways in which you can become a part of the show, visit patreon.com/roundtable.